Y'all are infidels. We're burning witches tonight. Not even Smoking the Bear is going to be able to save your ancestors this time, you stupid moron.
Someone in the comments fixed him with a band-aid. That was good. I'm sorry, that was fucking good. Anyways.
Well, that's my job as a woman, I think, first and foremost. And then as a writer, I gotta maintain some level of like, making sure that you're in a good place.
Everything that they've done since claiming the PS5 is for hardcore gamers. It's just simply appeal to the casuals.
That's about it. Follow me on Twitter. Preserve film, just like preserving video games. I don't know.
Hunter! What's up? In the White House? Seriously?
Well, Marvel and what Stan Lee, I think, I don't know if it was genius or laziness. It's like, we'll just put them all in one city. We won't even make up a fictionless and we'll just use new.
Here the night, what you got coming up for tomorrow?
I'm perfectly sober.
Lies.
Thank you.
Are you home? Do you have children? Must not you be their hope? Are there future generations from all of us who have failed them?
And the mom shaming, a term typically used to highlight harsh judgment of birthing people.
Fuck these stupid fucking
Who wrote this shit? Who wrote this shit?
Bro.
What up, people? It is Tuesday night. We are back here for another episode of the Barroom Podcast, and this time I'm only joined by one guy. That's it. He's the only one to show up tonight. How you doing, Orange Hat?
Doing well, bub. How are you?
Doing pretty well. Wish there was more people here, but I guess we're just gonna have to run this show solo here tonight. It's just the way things are now. But yeah, no, everyone else is gonna be here. They're just gonna be late because everyone's on Color People time, or as I like to call it, TW time. So. But until then, I am joined with a bunch of people who are waiting in our chat right now who have some interesting questions for us to start our show. Spencer's also here. He's saying, hurry up. Says, shout out to recognizing the Daily Wire's crown showing themselves. Yeah, we're going to talk about that throughout the course of the night, too, because there's definitely a couple takes that I have on this one. And then double also, Bob Melvin went to the Giants. Well, he wouldn't be the first Padres manager to go to San Francisco and win multiple championships. So, we'll see how that goes. Speaking of that, in case you haven't been following the baseball playoffs the last couple of days, the Houston Astros are finally out of the World Series for like the first time in like 5 years or something like that. So I'm glad to see that they're out. And then right now it's Arizona and Philly are tied at 1 in the 4th. And I'm rooting hard for Arizona because I can't cheer for anything related to Philadelphia. That city does not deserve anything good to ever happen to them. So that's all I got there. Neozoic's also joining us here tonight with a good question. Which influenced horror film would you rather watch? The Exorcist or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Honestly, as the years have gone on, I've had more of a soft spot for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so I would probably have to choose that one at this point, even though I know the Exorcist is a more iconic film. But what do you think, Orange Hat?
I'll choose the one that actually creeped me the fuck out, which was The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that girl stabbing herself with the crucifix. Yeah, that creeped me the hell out. It's like, no, I could not stop cringing from that for an hour.
Well, you should have joined us on our Friday night show when we watched Savage Streets with Linda Blair and that 80s exportation movie, because she looks way different in that film than you remember in the Exorcist movie. So there you go. And then bonus question here: who's scarier, Freddy Krueger or the Candyman? I mean, obviously Freddy Krueger. I mean, it's a guy who attacks you in your dreams. So, you never really have a full advantage when you're dealing with Freddy Krueger versus Candyman. So that alone kind of gives him the advantage. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've never really paid much attention to the Candyman movies. I mean, I saw the first one like years ago, but didn't really care much. But Freddy Krueger ones, I watched all of them, and it's like they only just got progressively ridiculous as they went on.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, when you make so many of them, they're never going to hold up their quality. You can argue that only the first couple were any good. And
well, yeah, they went from absolute horror to absolute stupidity.
Yeah, they went to complete schlock. And even you say the same thing with Jason too. I mean, the reason why you got that Freddy versus Jason movie, which was just like, look, I know this sounded like a good idea on paper, but it
wasn't as bad as I thought it would be when I first saw it, but it still had its campiness.
Yeah, I mean, he put Kelly Rowland in the movie. I'm just like, what are we doing here? It's like,
but they did have Ginger Snap chick.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, Orange Hat's obviously going to be in the chat with you guys tonight. Let's see what we had. Neozoic, already to the high of him. Top Dog's joining us for this episode. Top Dog's asking, will we talk about the Grayson Waller Taylor Swift situation? No, obviously we're not going to talk about here tonight. One, because I don't think anyone really truly cares outside of Taylor Swift fans and Spencer. And two, we have another story revolving around wrestling that we'll talk about briefly here on the show tonight. Drax the Clown.
Waller.
It's a WWE wrestler. Apparently, he posted something that upset Taylor Swift fans. He's pretty much mirroring what everyone else is saying, is that no one cares about Taylor Swift. Stop putting her in football games, but they're going to keep doing it because fuck you. That's why. Neozoic, it says, what's up to Drax? Drax the Clown is here as well. We're here on Rumble. We're here on YouTube. We're here on Twitch. We're on all three platforms here tonight. So I wanted to start off with something with Cassie, but she's not here yet because it was kind of like her story, the reason why we brought it up here. So I will bring up this other story here just for a second, and this is going to be a quick little chat while we wait for a couple other people to join in here. Let's talk about TNA Wrestling. Have you ever heard of TNA Wrestling before?
Tits and ass.
Yeah, that was literally not even making this up. This is literally the reason why they called it TNA. So let me do a little bit of a history lesson for you guys who maybe not big pro wrestling fans, or some of you guys that maybe have forgotten about TNA. In 1999, Jeff Jarrett, who was working for the WWF, he decided to essentially extort Vince McMahon out of like $300,000 to drop the Intercontinental title, and he went to WCW. Well, 2 years later, WWF bought WCW, and Vince McMahon pretty much pledged that Jeff Jarrett would never work for his company ever again. And to give Jeff Jarrett credit, Vince McMahon credit, he did hold that promise for about 19 years. So he did have a little bit of weight to it. So Jeff Jarrett in 2002 found himself out of a job and out of a company because WCW no longer existed. So he decided that he was going to work with his father and use a few investors to create a new wrestling company that was literally called TNA. Vince Russo talked about this story before. The reason why he called it TNA Wrestling was essentially that, tits and ass. And that was kind of like a play on words and an innuendo in of itself. They spent the first couple of years in Nashville. Then they went down to Universal Studios in Orlando when they spent about a decade over there as well. And it was a pretty successful run post WCW for a number of years there. But after a few years, Dixie Carter ended up losing the TV deal with Spike TV. And then they pretty much fell into obscurity. They lost the name TNA. They called it Impact Wrestling for a number of years. And if you guys are a fan of Impact Wrestling, God bless you, because I don't know who can sit there and watch 2 hours of that schlock. They're on a network that no one even has, or people even know exists, the Access TV network. They didn't have a TV deal for a number of years. They were on like Twitch for a while. Yeah, I mean, it's been a rough go of things for them, but all of a sudden, TNA is back in the headlines because they're changing their name back, or Impact Wrestling is changing its name back to TNA Wrestling. So let's pull this up right here. They're bringing back the old logo and everything. So Impact Wrestling officially changes its name back to TNA. They just had their big show over the weekend. It was called Bound for Glory, and all of a sudden, they were trending online because they did a little video here announcing that TNA is back, and we're bringing back the name TNA. Look, I gotta be honest with you here. Impact Wrestling is pretty much a dead promotion at this point. They haven't had a real television deal in almost 10 years, and they need something to get people interested in whatever the hell they're doing right now. And they figure, hey, this will be a good thing to do to get people talking about our company again. So this short little video here, I'm not playing the whole thing because it's really not that relevant. All I'm just gonna play is just this last part because this is what people were talking about here when them bringing back the old TNA name.
Now, I can. I guess there's only one thing left to do.
TNA Wrestling.
It's all about total non-stop action. These lights will inspire you. It's an evening that revolves around history.
So there you go. They're bringing back the name TNA. I know a lot of you guys in our chat are fans of pro wrestling. Orange Hat, maybe not so much for you. Like I said, this is pretty much the history of this company that I've talked about for a while here. They've been up and down for a numerous amount of years. They've changed their names on several different occasions. They've been pretty much irrelevant in the grander scheme of things in the world of pro wrestling, especially the last 5 years or so. They're essentially it's finding any kind of way to stay relevant. This is just kind of another attempt of staying relevant in the realm right now, but this is pretty much all they got. So I don't know if you have any context on this one, but yes, TNA is officially back, and they're obviously some of our guys in the chat are not very kind to TNA's history. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, you have any comments on this story here?
Nope.
No, I figured as much, but like I said, the people who I expected to be here to talk about this one are running late because that's just the way that they roll. But yeah, that is what it is. But quick little reference here to the chat. It says that I would say I'd rather watch TNA in 2010 than watch AEW or modern WWE. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, like I said, they did have a good run there for a while, but I think it was right. I wouldn't say it was right during the Hogan run, but definitely a couple of years after that was when everything fell apart, and then they just had never recovered. Yeah, at one point they were Global Force Wrestling because Jeff Jarrett lost his creative rights to TNA over Dixie Carter, so he wanted to start another wrestling promotion. A few years after that, they only ran like 1 or 2 shows in Las Vegas, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe TNA actually destroyed the the tapes of that one show that they did, so that was like a whole subject of a lawsuit for a number of years. But then they merged for some weird reason. It was a whole mess. Like I said, the whole thing's just been terrible. Top Dog says main event Mafia, Beautiful People, AJ Styles thing. Yeah, that was the peak, and that was like what 2008, 2009, somewhere around that time. Didn't TNA lose their rights deal because they hired Vince Russo? That's always been the narrative online, and that's never been true. And there's been people out there who have confirmed that this is not true. The people who repeat this narrative just hate Vince Russo. They want to blame him for all the wrestling problems. But the official story from the executives who were working there at the time basically said that Dixie Carter wanted more money for their television deal, and Spike TV did not want to give TNA more money. So I think they were about $7 to $8 million apart of what they wanted, and Spike TV just basically said, "Screw it, we're not renewing the contract," and that's essentially what happened. Some people tried to go after the fact, saying that, oh, it was because Russo was secretly working with the company. It's like Spike TV wasn't going to pull TNA off the air because Vince Russo was secretly working there. That's just a stupid, absurd narrative there. They said that Alberto Del Rio was the final nail in the coffin. Yeah, for you guys who forgot about that story, Del Rio was the world champion there right around the whole merger with Global Force Wrestling. I think he was supposed to be at a indie show, and he completely no-sold the show, didn't show up at all. Then they fired him the night after, and I think that was around the time he was Yeah, he was he was with Paige, and they were doing whole kinds of things behind the scenes. So yeah. DK says that wrestlers blame Tixie for trying to get more money out of Spike, and that's essentially what happened there. Like people who try to say that it was Russo or guys like Jim Cornette and Meltzer because they hate Vince Russo, and then they try to put the heat on him, but that's not really what happened. Cassie will be here later on here. Are they bringing back Mike today? Definitely not. There are even rumors of CM Punk might show up. Yeah, he's not showing up to that indie company. He's already had enough indie companies out there working with AEW. He's not going back there. And what else do we have here? Yeah, the TNA Wrestling, they're just resurrecting the name and the logo. We do have one guest finally straggling on here, and it's our Party Crasher Pete joining us here on the show. How you doing, Pete?
Good to be here. Yeah, Party Crashing Pete, always crashing parties.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I crash in this party because I know nothing about wrestling. I think kayfabe is interesting, but this is too close to athletics for me to be comfortable. So I'm just like, no.
Yep.
I'll pass.
Yeah. Like I said, this is more of like a Cassie TW story, but they're straggling along here. So that's pretty much it. TNA's just bringing back their old name. There's really not much else to say about this story here. So we're gonna hop over to another one. Maybe one of you guys would be interested in. James Bond. They're bringing back James Bond. They're working on a new James Bond. They haven't announced a new James Bond, but of course this one is going to be set for modern audiences because why not? Everything has to be for insert modern audience here. So James Bond producer confirmed that the character in the films will be reinvented for the modern world because that's exactly what we want. James Bond producer Barbara Broccoli recently confirmed that the future James Bond film will reinvent the character and the stories for the modern world, which basically means we're going to ruin everything. This is the woman right here. Now, there was a lot of heat about James Bond a couple years back. If you remember, they brought in Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the one who they tried to put over with the whole Indiana Jones movie. They brought her in to be like sort of like a script doctor and like scrub over some aspects of the film because they wanted this the latest Bond movie to be respectful towards like women or come from like a female centered perspective. And there was also the rumor behind the scenes that they wanted Lashana Lynch to become the new 007, and that's what they were pushing. And then they got a massive amount of backlash and a massive amount of heat for that because people were like, no, we are not doing a black female James Bond. That's killing the entire character. So they did push back on that a little bit. I think she was like a substitute 007 in the film, but there was implications that they wanted her to take over the role after Daniel Craig. But so people have been very, very unhappy. And then, of course, the movie came out a couple of years ago, and it just wasn't that good. It ended with Daniel Craig's James Bond literally being blown away to smithereens. But apparently, they're still working on a future James Bond film, even though they don't know exactly who Bond's going to be this time around. They haven't decided. Don't be surprised if it is a black woman or maybe a biracial actor from the UK. Don't be surprised that happens. It says in an interview with the Guardian to promote the Prime Video reality series 007 Road to a Million, Broccoli informed the outlet that there are plans for the character to be reinvented for the next chapter, and other executives haven't even begun the process yet. So the person who was doing this interview was like Tara Cullen in her name, and she says that she added the next film will reflect the way that the world has changed in the 2 decades since Craig was confirmed as the 6th 007, and pointed out that Bond has often been reinvented. Broccoli went on to justify what she believes the character needs to be reinvented for a modern era, pointing to Pierce Brosnan's GoldenEye as well as the recently concluded Daniel Craig era. She says that as for GoldenEye, I go back to that film when everyone was talking about the Cold War is over, the wall is over, Bond is dead, there's no need for Bond, the whole world is at peace now, and there's no villains. Boy, was that wrong. Colin also added that Broccoli informed her that the modernization is necessary whenever a new actor plays the part. It goes on to say that she discussed Craig's era of James Bond, noting that the other producers wanted to focus on what the 21st century hero would look like. Daniel gives us the ability to mine an emotional life for the character, and as also the world was ready for it. I think these movies reflect the time that they were in, and they reflected the big road ahead for reinventing for the next chapter, which we haven't even begun with that yet. Broccoli then reiterated that she has no plans to make James Bond a television series outside of the reality program, or making Bond movies for big theatrical screens, and everything about the Bond movie is for the audience to see around the world in that format. So we have not wanted to do television. So there's a couple projects that they're essentially working on here, but they're saying that they want to go. I don't know. I see it. I'll get her in a second. But she does want to go in a new direction with this James Bond. She said last year, I think it was last September, that it's an evolution. Bond is evolving just as men are evolving. I don't know who's evolving at a faster pace, so that should be terrifying for anyone who's looking forward to a future James Bond movie, that this is literally the woman who's in charge of this whole thing. So while we pop Cassie in here for a second, I guess we can start off with you, Orange Hat, and then we'll hit over with Pete. What's your thoughts on essentially the producers here, the female producers, I should say, trying to reinvent James Bond for modern audiences, when I'm pretty sure will not be a male-dominated audience, or at least that's the implication that they're giving here. I'll start with Orange.
Well, I would say see you next Tuesday to all of them. And basically, the best Bonds that I saw were all of them up to Pierce Brosnan. I never got into the Daniel Craig ones. To be completely honest, I never found him very interesting as Bond. Connery is always going to be my Bond. Dr. No, always going to be one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. And yes, GoldenEye. I also do like GoldenEye, because also Pierce Brosnan is my second favorite James Bond.
And Tina Turner, has the best song. I don't care what anyone says. The Queen, baby.
Yeah, I know. And if they think that, or here's a franchise that women literally wanted to be the next Bond girl.
Yeah.
And they're saying that, women are going to be respected. When were they not respected? They all had badass roles. Some of them got to shoot a gun. Some of them got to have their action moment. Nothing wrong with that. When were they ever frickin' disrespected?
Well, you have to understand that in the minds of modern audiences, any women that tries to appeal to the male gaze is bad in 2023. So we can't have women that appeal to that.
Maybe those modern audiences need to be deprogrammed, because they literally have a mental delusion that is destroying our society as a whole. Because it's just disgusting. The way that they are saying, well, men should not look at women in a sexual way. Women fucking look, or that was kind of how God made women, to have a form that would appeal to men. What the fuck is wrong with that? I mean, yes, there's the whole sin factor and the whole religious factor that we don't really need to get into right now, but for Christ's sake, femininity is something that should not be destroyed. It should actually be, or the female form, feminine form, should honestly be respected, yes, but also be appreciated more too.
Yeah, but like I said, you have these films that are now written, produced, and who knows, they may even have a directed by a woman here in the near future too. And like I said, they're trying. Because they're trying to create a James Bond that appeals to a female demographic and not the male demographic. I mentioned this on Sunday night with Culture Casino. It's like James Bond is supposed to be like the male fantasy. Like he's supposed to be the guy who essentially, fights the bad guys, gets to wear cool gadgets, drives cool cars, and always gets the girl. Like he's the typical male fantasy. It's like trying to do a James Bond from a female perspective is not James Bond. And no one's gonna buy into this as a result at all. But Pete, what do you think of this whole story here?
I think it is fascinating because the one who said this, Barbara Broccoli, when the PR was starting to make the rounds for the last James Bond film, she was the one that was poo-pooing the idea that James Bond would ever be a female. She said they were open to having a James Bond of a different color, but he'd always have to be a man. The situation Barbara Broccoli is interesting because James Bond is unique in all of big film franchises, and that's effectively controlled by a family of 5. And there's not really another case where this is true, and it's because they got grandfathered in this unique creative license that their dad, who was producer on these things, into his, to his I think 80s or 90s, and the last film he worked on was I want to say Goldfinger. No, what's the one? What's the one in the 90s? Goldeneye. There we go. He was still working on Goldeneye, and that's like a year before he died. Anyhow, so he put his kids in charge, and that's Barbara and her half brother Michael, and they have a unique situation. So if they say no to something, it shouldn't happen. Now that's not totally true because they have to deal with studios and all kinds of marketing deals, et cetera, et cetera. But they do have a unique control of the situation. So I wonder what changed between now and 2020. Her statement, a lot of people are reading. I don't think they're say that. It's like maybe she is thinking to be more radical. Maybe they do want to do a black feminist James Bond. Who cares? On her off time, she carries a sign, ask me about my social justice, which I'm sure would be just riveting, which is just wonderful. And I don't know what happened. I think that is a fair interpretation, but I really don't know what to make of it. Is this just like throwing some ham to the wolves, trying to keep the beasts at bay? Oh yeah, we're totally going to do something that's progressive and you guys are like, or is this serious? I don't know. I don't totally know what to make of it.
Yeah, we're truly trying to do something progressive, guys. It's not going to be for those pesky men anymore. That's people. That's what people want to hear about their James Bond franchises. There, Cassie, do you have any thoughts on the James Bond story?
Well, they've already did essentially what they're claiming they're going to do. The last James Bond, from what I've heard, definitely was trying to be super progressive. But the thing is, they still had to finish up what they were doing prior, and they wanted to also, I guess, have that sort of bridging the gap. And so I guess that last movie was that. And I don't know if that movie a flop. It says like it made over like 700 billion. So I'm assuming that it made at least some sort of
Wait, which one is it? The
money back.
last Bond
No
movie?
Time to Die.
That's one of those borderline ones where it may have made a small profit because the budget was like almost $300 million and it only made 774. So if it did make a profit, it was a very, very small profit. It still sounded like it could have lost money, honestly. So
Yeah, so I mean, maybe it made some sort of money, but it didn't seem to have flopped drastically. So that seems to be what. Well, let's continue down the same road. I mean, Disney continues to do it, and all these companies continue to go down that same road. To me, I'm not really a Bond fan by any means, but I know that there's a lot of people that do, and they just have to accept the fact that you're about to lose a good chunk of your audience by doing this. So go for it. I mean, if you want to be stupid, hey, I love to watch stupid people and stupid companies fail. They seem to be doing a really good job with that as of late. So if you want to lose your audience, if you want to uh, destroy this male fantasy that this franchise is inherently known for, I mean, you could do that, but at the same time, I don't want to see fans fucking crying about it later on. Don't watch it. Don't support it. Let it die. You have to. At this point, they double, triple, quadruple down. Like all these companies do this. You have to at some point say no. You don't want this anymore, and it is what it is. But they're telling you outright. They're not sugarcoating it. They're saying straight up, this ain't gonna be what it used to be no more. So they're telling you outright. So now you must act accordingly. So that's what it boils down to.
Just real quick, I think it says here from Variety, the break even for that last Bond movie would have been $800 million, so it actually would have lost about $25 million when it was all said and done. And
They're so flopped. Why did they make movies that are so freaking expensive?
To be fair, it was an early COVID film. It was supposed to come out not that long after Corona hit in 2020, and so they delayed it a year. But even still, it's like summer 2021. That is not a good time to be releasing movies. To be totally fair to James, not that was a great movie by any means. Still better than Spectre for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, Spectre. Yeah, nobody likes Spectre. I think. I mean, like I say, it really just goes to show you like how much the Bond series has like changed since Daniel Craig took over. Because I mean, everyone was talking about I think everyone loved Casino Royale, and when that one like first came out, then there was kind of iffy on Quantum of Solace. I've heard things varying on both of those sides of the story there. But talking about a film that when he came along, I believe started in like 2006, and now here we are, like a movie coming out in 2021, and like I said, they've changed the culture so much that it doesn't even look like the same franchise anymore, at least the same actor in that mind frame. But it is what it is. Like I said, we all know this game with Hollywood. That's why I never cared about the whole thing with the writer's strike, and I still care about the actor's strike, because look, as far as like an audience member goes and like the paying customer goes, you're still not getting what you want, no matter how this whole strike situation goes in. Like, the writers are not going to get any better, the actors aren't going to get any better. They're just quaffing for more money, which, to be honest with you, the studios don't have, because they keep putting out crap like this. So that's just what it is at the end of the day with this whole situation. It's going to get worse. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they go with a black woman for the next 007, or some biracial like British actor who no one ever heard of as next 007. I will be shocked if the next 007 is a heterosexual white guy. Let's just put it that way. I will be stunned if they actually did that. But
Or it'd be just bland as hell, like, and it is one of those things where like they hate the male fantasy. It's looked down upon now, and well, I can't wait to watch your franchise fail at this point. I mean, there's nothing wrong with women being, sexy and doing it is what they do. Like, women's are supposed to vary. Like, not every woman is the same. Like, I don't understand why, you can promote fat bitches being naked, but apparently a woman that apparently, takes care of themselves can't be shown. Like, can't show that. I mean, like, it's very weird. It comes with the franchise. Either you stick to what the franchise is known for, or you have no franchise anymore. They want their cake and to eat it too. They can't make their own shit that promotes women, because it fails, because it fucking sucks more often than not. And so they must hijack what works and change it. That's constantly what keeps happening in the industry.
It was Queen Elizabeth's favorite film franchise, because the original very terrible Casino Royale film came out just as she was starting her I don't even know what's the right her
reign.
Her reign. Thank you. I don't know on my words sometimes. So she liked it a lot. I think the assumption, and she was seeing every one of them. I think the wrong assumption here that people make is, obviously we have to change the women, we have to change the sexiness of it, we have to change the violence, because it's for those female viewers. Not that the female viewers come for it almost as much as the male viewers do, and in some cases probably more.
Well, a lot of the females that I knew loved the James Bond movies because they love watching Bond. So yeah, it may be a male fantasy, but it's also a female fantasy, because, as I said, a lot of women liked or wanted to be Bond girls, and that's actually something that they all dreamed of being. But they also loved watching Bond because, well, he was peak sexual, or he was peak sex appeal for many women. I mean, yeah, GoldenEye actually did start calling out the sexism, because that's what the Lady M basically said directly to him. Good, because I think that you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur. And it's like, well, who gives a fuck what you think, bitch? He didn't. But honestly, if people nowadays want to, or I agree with Cassie, let them fucking tank it, because you're coming up with the dumbest ideas. They're now coming up with a live action, not joking, they're coming up with the live action Tarzan. And we all know what they like to do. No, Disney is doing the live action Tarzan. We all know where that's going.
I cannot wait to see what they do with the Tarzan.
Fucking dare them.
Tarzan.
I mean, they just did a Tarzan movie, like, what was it, like 7 years ago, and that one flopped. And now you're gonna do something that's even worse than that.
I actually liked that one. Yep, the one with what's his name, Skarsgård. I actually thought that was pretty good.
I did not hate that one.
I mean, you guys know that Jane is gonna be a fat black woman. That's
they're probably gonna get Lizzo swinging through the fucking trees.
Yo, bro, holy shit.
those vines gonna snap. Yeah.
Snap.
Speaking
Speaking
of
of grab them,
snap.
and they're gonna just break themselves because they're like, access denied.
I'm just waiting for the rap version of the rock band Genesis songs. It's gonna be amazing.
Oh God. Yeah,
I'm sure that will age just perfectly.
Age like
man.
warm milk. Meanwhile, our good
No.
buddy Rick is joining us here. Straggler number 3 has now joined the show. How you doing today, Rick?
I'm doing good. I was overhearing the conversation about Bond. Just throwing this real quick. It was Pete who said it, and it's right. Bond. Oh no, it was Orange Hat. It was Bond has always been a fantasy. It's always basically been escapism. It's been about girls, guns, and gadgets, and that's really what it is. I don't know why they want to reinvent it for the quote modern audience. You don't need to. I pretty much hated all the Daniel Craig films except for Casino Royale, which was good and did have one of my 10 best Bond girls. Oh, and that's right. We're supposed to call them Bond women. We can't call them Bond girls. That's
girls.
Offensive. Yeah. No, I'm saying that we can't.
Bond slags.
But they're Bond.
Yeah,
They're
well,
Bond
I don't
girls.
care what you say. We can't do.
Apart from Casino Royale, all the Craig era Bond films have been terrible, and Spectre was really bad. I don't know how Sam Smith won original song. I mean, Writings on the Wall, what terrible song.
Because he's gay.
Skyfall was a terrible song too. The lyrics make no sense. I will just say that we don't need to reinvent Bond. Let's just keep Bond a male. I have no objection to having a black Bond, but why do we need a female Bond? They've tried that. Wasn't Atomic Blonde supposed to be a female Bond type? That didn't go over well. So yeah,
I mean, to be fair, Bond songs don't have to necessarily make sense. I mean, in GoldenEye, Tina Turner's literally singing how she stalked an individual as a child. That totally doesn't sound creepy at all. But let's just keep it moving.
Yeah, like the most liked. If I ever talk to British Bond fans, the most liked song to them is Duran Duran's song. I
love Duran Duran.
That is terrible. That's awful.
No, it's great, and I don't care what anyone says. The Living Daylights is a great song.
Well, we're gonna jump over to our next topic here because I'm glad Cassie did come back. I think Rayleigh, you just ended your Spider-Man stream just a few minutes ago, right?
I did. It was,
so we have to talk about the scene that absolutely drove me up the wall with the Spider-Man game. This horrid dialogue between Peter Parker and Mary Jane. So apparently there's this new Spider-Man game that all the gamer losers like Cassie are playing right now, and
I am a loser for it. I wasted $70 for that.
So let me paint the stage for you here. So
actually 80.
Jesus.
That's not something to be proud of.
Like after tax.
No, I'm saying I am a loser for it. I have to be honest. I definitely lost out, sadly. So.
Yeah, especially after what I saw in this game. So the stage for this scene is that Mary Jane, who keep in mind has been uglified significantly in this video game, she's been taken over by a symbiote, and now she's playing a character called Scream, which is technically another woman in the comic books, but the video games doesn't matter, I guess, so we're not really following continuity anymore here. So it's literally a fight between Mary Jane and Peter Parker in the context of this video game. And it is the most cringy, feminist cuckold dialogue I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm going to play like 3 minutes of this because I need you guys to experience what I experienced when I was watching this. It's bad, and it somehow manages to get worse as each time goes on here. So keep in mind, this is Peter Parker fighting Mary Jane. The action really doesn't matter. Listen to the dialogue. You're going to rip your hair out listening to this.
For answers, please, because you lost a job or can't pay a bill. I write words I don't believe in for a man I despise, so you can be happy.
I didn't realize. MJ, you can quit. I can figure something out.
I can't trust you. I can only.
I just want to the whininess in Peter Parker's voice. It's just like it's driving me up a wall. But like I said, this whole thing manages to get worse.
He's like that the entire game.
Yeah.
Whoever fucking wrote this should be fired.
But she's not necessarily wrong. Like Peter is, he is as bad as Mary Jane is speaking.
I don't give a shit if she's
Listen.
technically right or not.
I never thought about yours. But let's handle this MJ's way. Let me help you fight this.
By the way, if I'm having a superhero fight with my girlfriend, even if she is being taken over by some like evil entity, and she's basically just like going on like, you know, a first of the month rant about like how much like she hates me, how much she despises our relationship, it's like, yeah, sure, I'll save you, but it's definitely going to be the end of our relationship one way or another. So, oh my God.
I just think it's weird. The fight is in it's a housing subdivision. That's like the most exciting place to have a super.
Yeah, the whole fight started because she kicked them into like a city bus in like Queens or something like that. Now they're just fighting and like it doesn't make any sense. Nothing about this makes any sense.
Well, Venom took over, basically made her a symbiote monster.
We don't need you.
The city needs you. I need you.
Don't lie to me! Pete, I need you too. You just want to stay the stronger half. Why? Don't feel pain. You just want to stay the stronger half. Why? Don't feel special anymore.
What? No.
You get the feeling the writers are working through something.
Yeah.
No, you're not kidding.
I'm sorry, MJ. I took you for granted.
MJ is gone.
No, you aren't. I'm sorry I caused you so much pain. The house, my job, our life together. I promised you I'd be better, but
Like, it's literally just like 3 straight minutes of Peter Parker
I
groveling.
should have been there. We're a team. Me and you. I never want your life to be worse to make mine better. Your dreams are just as important as mine.
You're lying.
You're just as important.
I think that's about all the way that we need to play as far as this whole thing goes. But like I said, that's just like a small sample of what I had to sit through during Cassie's stream when I was watching this. And like I said, I think you might be getting just a little bit more annoyed than I was, but I was just sitting here like who wrote this? Like seriously, like who? Like I have to find that. Okay, I have to find that video because it's just a perfect answer to this whole thing. But Cassie, can you explain to me what the hell's going on with this new Spider-Man game? Is this what video games are now? Should I just stay with my PS3 forever?
Yeah, it's I don't know if anyone wants to discuss like blatant spoilers, but I'll kind of keep it light. Yeah, basically, this is a mashup of Miles Morales' Spider-Man and Peter Parker's Spider-Man. But unfortunately, Peter Parker's Spider-Man is the most useless character that always F's up in this game. He is by far the worst Spider-Man the worst depiction of Peter Parker that I've genuinely ever seen. He's basically he F's up every important key moment. Miles has to save him all the time. And then the one time Miles doesn't happen to be there, guess what? Spoiler alert, Peter dies. Like it's so bad. And Mary Jade, she is this is my problem with modern gaming. In order you would like for your character to have meaningful relationships. The problem is that modern day writers can't really have women, expressing emotion nowadays. They don't want the female characters to seem like they're beneath the male characters and basically taking on that feminine role. So Mary Jane and Spider-Man and Peter pretty much had no connection at all throughout the whole game. And and then she gets turned into, Scream, the symbiote, and she just spews out all this nonsense. And to be fair, she's not exactly wrong because of this game's depiction of Peter Parker being as horrendous as he is. I mean, he is useless. He's trash. You can't do anything right. He can't be Spider-Man right. He can't be a good version of Peter Parker. I mean, I understand that Peter Parker obviously is always the one that does, falls short of paying the bills, whatnot, but that's because he's out there being a good Spider-Man. Here, none of that happens. The only time Peter Parker does good is when Miles is there to make sure everything goes well. It's so bad that Miles actually manages to be God at the end of the game. I don't know if I should spoil that. I don't think I will. But he literally is God at the end of the game. And it's like, okay, I get it. You guys are, you clearly, white man, can't do anything, useless garbage without mixed race dude that looks really weird in his new outfit that mind you looks absolutely atrocious.
There's so many things wrong with this. I mean, first of all, I thought this would be the most cringy thing about this whole thing. If you noticed, like, the big controversy this week was that when they were trying to represent Miles Morales' heritage, just keep in mind he's half black and half Puerto Rican, they used the Cuban flag instead of the Puerto Rican flag because apparently the woke social justice warriors behind this game can't tell the difference between Cuba and Puerto Rico.
Yeah, we're all interchangeable.
The post-credit scene showed the Cuban flag, and I'm like, yep, send me away with this insane fuck up. And it's like, if you know anything about Puerto Ricans, they always have a flag somewhere. They just do. Like, it's so crucial.
How do you not get fired by doing that? Because it's not like, it only takes 2 seconds to Google the Puerto Rican flag and realize, oh, this don't match. Like, how do you not get fired?
Because they got it right about half of the time.
Generally, these are white staff. These are white. These are as white bread staff as you can get, and then they'll have a few token writers and game devs. But the people who usually lead these projects are whiter than I am. So they have no clue. They've never actually been to Puerto Rico. They may not know that many Puerto Ricans.
I'm not.
I know more about Puerto Ricans than these people do, and I've never been to New York. Like, how does that happen?
Not only did these people have never been to Puerto Rico, they've never been to New York because they're under the impression, there's a side mission in the story. They're under the impression that the only people that sell fireworks in New York are arch criminals. It's not like you can go a state over, buy as much fireworks as you want, and just simply bring it back to New York as the average everyday person. If you sell fireworks in New York, you're inherently one of the worst criminals ever. Like, you have, you're also a gun runner. You guys are the worst of the worst. It's like, if you understand how New York works, you know that it's very easy to go get fireworks. And most people that do happen to get fireworks aren't bad at all. They just want to have some fun. I mean, people light up fireworks in New York all the time, despite it being illegal. So,
yeah. And I know Zero Dose are saying that there's more. Yeah, I only went to play like 3 minutes. That was like the worst portion of that whole fight. But yeah, it goes on to like 17 minutes if you want to watch it and this whole interaction here. And here's the thing. This is the problem here, because the stupid idiots who are in charge of this game, they were more worried about having their representation and diversity and making sure that we portray Miles Morales as quote unquote the Spider-Man, that we didn't even bother to see whether the flag that we were putting in this game to represent him was the correct flag to begin with. And I think so. You had mentioned this earlier too. It's like, after listening to that, I would break up with Mary Jane like right then and go date Black Cat. But apparently you can't do that now either, because now Black Cat's a lesbian. So that's also
bisexual. Clarify. They say she's bisexual.
Yeah, you're basically
she's bisexual because she has dated Peter in the past. But guess what? Peter made this woman say, "Oh no, she wants to do the scissoring now." Clearly, Peter chased her off and made her turn into a lesbian.
Is this going to be like the rule in comics? The soft rule in comics is bisexual now, gay forever. That's how this thing goes.
Or as your boy Zach used to say, heterosexuality is no longer allowed at Marvel.
Well, since Stan Lee died, Marvel has gone to fucking shit.
No, that was not the direct link. Marvel was already bad in the late years of Stan Lee. Like, it's just that they went full retard he did die. But like, what's crazy to me is that you can't ignore the correlation between lesbian can look pretty, but heterosexual woman, Mary Jane, has to look disgusting. And by the way, Mary Jane is the most broken character in the game. What is the point of superheroes? Mary Jane just walks around with a stun gun and one shot every fucking thing. So like, why am I sitting here playing as Miles or Peter, going full on beating the shit out of people with all these combos, and it takes forever to kill them? I might as well just play as Mary Jane the whole game, stun the shit out of everyone in 1 or 2 shots, and keep it moving. What's the point of superheroes anymore?
But here's the thing: they know that they can't get what they want in the mainstream Spider-Man canon. Like they're not going to portray it like this in the Sony movies, because Sony has way too much money on the line to let a bunch of stupid SJWs screw up their bankroll, right? So this is their only medium where they can do crap like this through this video game, where you can be like, okay, let's have. I mean, it's been a mirror of what you've seen in the comic books as well. This whole thing of Peter and MJ have to have this absolutely disastrous relationship where they don't really love each other. That apparently there's like some other dude dating MJ, and they got kids, and this whole thing now over there. Like, so they're just completely destroying their established relationship. These people are upset that I'll give you to you in a second, Pete, but they're upset that Peter Parker is identified as the real Spider-Man, not Miles Morales. So what do we have to do? We have to tear down Peter Parker in order to build up Miles Morales as the chosen one, because that's the whole reason why this whole game exists at this point, is to tear down an established hero so we can build up the woke counterpart.
To describe the comics right now, what they've done to Peter Parker in the last, it's madness. Peter Parker is basically now. So Marvel is not a very imaginative company, so they usually look at what DC did and then just kind of do it later. So they saw the Batman Who Laughs, where it was like a universe of evil Batmans comes into ours. It's like everyone's an evil Batman. So they're like, oh, we can do that, but it'll be Spider-Man. Except this Spider-Man, he's an angry alt-right Spider-Man who's upset. He's been infused with the evil of the Green Goblin, and he is upset because Mary Jane has made him a cuck. And I am not joking. They use that term, that word, several times in the comic. It's amazing. It's the most fantastically awful cringe, I think. I mean, by the way, stuff in this last decade. But
I just want to point this out, because this has been like the argument for the last 10, 15 years. This is why we didn't allow women in these spaces for so many years. This is why, because when we let you in, you do stuff like this. This is why no one wanted you here to begin with.
But like, for the longest time, women weren't interested in these spaces, not until they were extremely profitable. Like, I would always be the only girl that wanted to play video games. And it's like, I didn't want the video games to change. I got into the video games because of how they were. I liked it for what it was. I didn't get into the gaming space and be like, oh, they need to change this, and that to appeal to me. No, I liked it because of how it was, and that's why I got invested. There's a whole bunch of people out there, a lot of them being women or people that don't like any of this shit to begin with, that jump into the space just because it is profitable, just because they could become popular off of it, and say, well, we want to change everything to suit what we think is acceptable. And that's really the problem here.
I'm puzzled because I would have figured that Mary Jane would look like the typical woman now who's like obese in the Lily Gladstone style. Isn't that what they want? They want more accurate quote representation. So, I really don't have much to add, because I haven't played a video game since Donkey Kong. So it's like, this is not a big thing. But real quick, Miles Morales, I don't care. I don't know why people love Peter Parker. Peter Parker has always been the Spider-Man. Miles Morales, it's good, but it's not like as the said, oh, I have a Latino now, a Latino Spider-Man.
The only draw of Miles Morales is that he's Black Spider-Man. That's it. That's his only draw whatsoever.
He's half black. And apparently he's half Cuban now, because they have the Cuban flag. He's not Puerto Rican anymore. And he is part of the greatest film ever made, or one of the greatest of all time. So let's remember that. As for the dialogue that I heard, is she supposed to be so whiny? It's like, really just...
Well, she's with the symbiote, the symbiote makes people act like irrational and evil. The problem is, when everyone who's gotten the symbiote, being Peter, who was he had the symbiote suit, he was symbiote Spider-Man, he was being more honest with it on. And the same thing with Mary Jane. Like, they were being more honest, even though that's not how they genuinely feel, but how they how the symbiote perceives things is actually how it is.
All I remember
Negative
is when he
inhibitions
was
released.
Yeah, all I remember is that he started strutting down the street and doing this weird dance when he was a
greatest super movie that's ever been known to man.
I will tell you,
Damn
when I saw
Spider-Man
that, I was with my friend Fidel, and we both were convinced that they had somehow slipped in a gag reel in the middle of the movie because we really didn't believe that this was actually happening. And we're not. I mean, he was probably a bigger Spider-Man fan than I am. I love Spidey. You know, he was the one that I liked, but I never even heard of Miles Morales until we got was it Into the Spider-Verse or a little beforehand. So if here they're going to try to elevate him into God, then what's up? Why? I don't understand. That's just
He
bizarre.
resurrects someone from the dead with his
gosh.
electrical powers. So he's
Yeah,
God.
he has electric powers now.
No, so he's basically
he kind of
Black
has
Jesus,
whatever
gotcha.
powers the plot requires. Or like, oh,
Thank
we need
you.
something to happen.
Yes, thank you.
Give
You
him
you have learned my lessons well, Pete.
This is why people are no offense to Cassie, but this is why these companies are fucking succeeding, is because people are curious about these fucking games, even though they know ahead of time that these games are gonna fucking suck, and they still fucking give the money. Well, no offense, because clicks. Me, choose a different fucking game. I mean, if I was to get back into gaming, if I wanted to, I would not choose any of this shit that they're putting out now. It'd be like, I'm sorry, folks, I am not touching that fucking game. After the shit I've seen, after the stuff that they've shown, there is no chance I am wasting my fucking money on that. And there is no chance that, I mean, if you guys want to watch it, you're going to have to watch it on another stream. I'll keep my fucking integrity, and I will not freaking abuse my damn brain watching that bullshit. Because I have
the simple fact,
stance
just real quick,
against
that
it.
video games now are $80. It's just insane to me to think that that's how much
I
expensive
bought
the
the
game are.
deluxe edition, sadly. And like with that, it's one of those things where like the first Spider-Man game was a good game. Even the Miles Morales, like it did dive into a little like progressive bullshit here and there, but it's still I'd say about 90% of the game still a pretty damn good game. Like good gameplay.
Well, fine. The first one can
good
be,
story, you know,
but
like it's a serviceable game that's decent. But you could tell that this game here is a trajectory of going to more progressive thought ideology. It wasn't like it did not digress until this game to being this like crazy. I didn't think that they would choose to do some of the things that they would choose to do, which is, and they purposely hide this shit. And so, yeah, you end up buying it saying, well, I'm sure I'm going to come across some little bullshit here. And I could live with a little bit of bullshit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to just say no to every single game just because, well, it involves this little thing that I don't, agree with. I mean, I've went about my entire life dealing with people I both agree with and disagree with, or find some sort of common ground. Like, I'm not going to just say no to everything just simply because there's one thing I don't agree with in it. I mean, if anything, even with the recent Starfield controversy, people were completely just falling apart just because you can choose pronouns at the beginning of the game, but the rest of the game really doesn't involve anything that's inherently ridiculously woke. It's just, well, you have the standard pronouns that you choose for your character model, and if you have that option to change it, you could change it. Guess what? I just left it the fuck alone and kept it moving. So like, if I end up putting like over 200 hours into this game, and I genuinely have fun with it. So imagine me saying no to this game and returning it just because, well, I could choose to change my pronouns. That's sad. I would have missed out on a really fun time.
That's a personal choice, sure. But
yeah.
I agree with frickin' Spencer when he brought it up the other time. The only way that we are basically going to make any impact on this shit is to stop giving money to this shit. Because honestly, they are starting to get smarter with their marketing. they're dialing down the shit in the marketing, and then
they sucker you in.
And they sucker you in, exactly. Now, I'm not, or if you want to play the game, that's fine. I'm not going to say that you're an ass or anything for that. That's your personal decision, and hey, I still respect you. But honestly, I can't do that because, to be completely honest, that shit is giving me enough stress that it could possibly put me in the fucking hospital because I'm ready to just frickin' say, fuck this planet.
No, I agree. If it's really like something that is highly concerning, that it could, potentially be problematic to you personally. Like if it's just you say you have to say no, like you have to back away and just be done with it. I don't blame you. Like everyone, like
that's why I got out of gaming. It's mainly because of the whole fucking pay to play and pay to win and all that shit. That's when I first got out of it. But then I found out that they were putting all this other shit into it, and it's like I'm never getting back into gaming. Gaming's no longer fun because you got to waste all the fucking money to do it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's gaming to me. I think is at least the most salvageable entertainment right now. To me, music is not salvageable unless you go overseas. Film is not really salvageable unless you go to Martin Scorsese or David Fincher. But other than that, there's if you want to look forward to anything, I think gaming is still the most applicable choice. But there is a lot of fuck shit, and we do try our best to avoid as much fuck shit as possible. But we do have to balance what we could deal with and what I'm just saying straight up flat out no to. So it is one of those things. It's everyone has their own line.
This is what I keep arguing. Who is the target audience? You can put in all of this messaging. That's what you want to put in, and try to convert or send a message to people and tell them, oh, you need to worship, literally in this case, Miles Morales, I should say correctly. But who is the target audience? Is it people who really want to have the Cuban flag represent Puerto Ricans, or is it people who want?
It's for all the short purple hair white women who want Miles Morales to be the new Superman. This is exactly, Spider-Man. This is exactly who this video game was made for.
But are they going to play
Superman too?
But that's the thing. Are they
Give
going
it
to
time.
play this game? Are these white women with purple hair and all that? Are they going to play the game? Are they going to spend the $80 or what have you?
I'm pretty sure there's a couple of them on Twitch with their tits out. In
the first day it sold 2.5 million copies. So
yeah.
There is an audience for it. Can't argue.
It's Spider-Man. Look, it's Spider-Man. Spider-Man's one of the top 3 most popular comic book heroes of all time, next to Superman and Batman. So you throw Spider-Man to the masses, people are going to buy it. It's just kind of the way that it is. But
I blame Tom Holland and his ridiculous interpretation of Spider-Man with his Mr. Stark, did you see that really old movie, Jurassic Park?
Well, at least he isn't getting bent over in a gay bar this time around. So I guess there's just a slight improvement.
But ever since that ridiculous, he was a total moron. That's what I've hated about Ghost Mills. He was a moron.
It wasn't just on the screen. He was also pushing the whole we need a gay Peter Parker, we need this and that behind the scenes and in interviews.
Yeah. And that's the other,
you're going against Stan Lee when it comes to that shit.
Yeah,
because
this is
go ahead.
This is the other thing that infuriates me with the Spider-Man, the direction that is going, is that we have all of these 700 variations of Spider-Man. We essentially turned Spider-Man into Tumblr. Exactly, we essentially have turned Spider-Man into Tumblr. Every single garbage fan fiction Spider-Man in existence now has to be given the same equal treatment as Peter Parker in the canon now because of what we've done over the last several years.
Well, that's what we've had with all those Spider-Verse movies. That's all it is.
The original Spider-Verse, which was comics where they had people, or where they had the whole Inheritors arc, I thought that was pretty good because they showed that the spiders were actually getting tracked down and hunted across that universe. I thought that was actually a pretty interesting arc. I actually looked into reading up about it and whatnot, and I thought it was pretty good. But when it comes to the whole thing with everybody saying, well, Peter Parker should be this, Peter Parker should be gay, whatever. Stan Lee literally said there is a fucking multiverse of Spider-Man. Peter Parker is a white, heterosexual male. If you want to make a gay Spider-Man, create a different Spider-Man, not Peter Parker, make him gay. I have no problem with that. He even clarified that. I have no problem with gay Spider-Man or gay characters or whatever, but keep Peter Parker established as what he is. He has always been a ladies' man. He has always been heterosexual, white, and male, as he has been for 60 years. So everybody wanting to change that, I don't agree with. And I agree with Stan Lee, because all this changing and stuff, cucking them and whatnot, you're making them less than what they are. You're taking away what they originally were. Peter Parker was an embodiment of hope and responsibility when he first came out. People who wanted to be like Peter Parker learned that with great power comes great responsibility. If you want to do the right thing, do it. But also realize not doing it has consequences.
I want to hop over to another topic. We can literally talk about Spider-Man and how they've destroyed him over the course of the last several years here all night. But all I have to say is about this video game. When I was watching Cassie stream and I was watching this whole fight going on, my entire thought watching this:
Who the fuck wrote this bullshit?
I mean, it was literally that's all I can possibly say watching this. And I want to hop over to a story here about the Daily Wire, because this is kind of gonna go on the same line of what we've been talking about here. And the Daily Wire, in case you guys haven't heard, they're apparently doing a Snow White movie of their own on their streaming platform, Daily Wire Plus, wherever the hell this crap is called. So I wanted to show you guys, I guess this is the teaser trailer for this movie that they're working on, and just here for a second. But to back up for a quick second, in case you guys have no idea what the hell is going on here. We all know Disney is doing a $250 million live action reboot of Snow White, and it sounds terrible. It looks terrible. Everything about it is awful, and it's probably going to end up flopping. They're probably better off just getting rid of it altogether rather than releasing it in theaters, but they're doing it, and it is what it is. So the Daily Wire, because I guess the story of Snow White is now public domain, they decided that they're going to do their own version of Snow White to kind of spite Disney. But here's why I think they're missing a golden opportunity here. But I want to play this little 30-second clip here of their version of Snow White, played by Brett Cooper, who's like one of their personalities on the Daily Wire. So here's the trailer.
Once upon a time, in time a prince would come. Once upon a time, but now that time is gone.
Oh my gosh, it's Ben Shapiro and drag.
Yeah, a lot of
Pete
people
coming in with the low blow there.
I've seen that trailer a few times now. That's what always comes to my mind.
Yeah, it's like a less hot version of Abby Shapiro. It's just kind of sad in reality. I think they're cousins, by the way, just throwing it out there. But so this is kind of how I'm looking at the situation here. It's like, okay, you guys want to do your own Snow White movie because you want to spite Disney. I get that from an extent here, but like I said, you put Brett Cooper in this whole thing, and this is kind of the problem that I have here. Is that there's a lot of indie creators out there who are struggling to try to find like an audience and find, like I say, a platform and an outlet. And whether you like it or not, the Daily Wire has one of the biggest outlets, especially for conservative talk groups in the United States right now. And Ben Shapiro is obviously involved with people who have money to invest in stuff like this. They've been doing like their own independent productions for like films and animated shows and stuff like that. And look, I said this years ago when they started doing this. I said, okay, what they're doing is a good step in the right direction, but we should not be looking at the Daily Wire as the only alternative for Hollywood. Like, if you hate Hollywood, the Daily Wire should not be the only alternative out there for Hollywood. They should be a good first step in the right direction so that other studios can come up as well, but not just them. Because I'm looking at this and it's like, okay, so you're just going to do you're going to do a Snow White film in order to get one over on Disney. You can actually do a pretty solid Snow White movie and show essentially a major studio how it's done, especially when there's flops. But right out of the gate, you're putting Brett Cooper in the lead of this film. Shows me that you're not really taking this whole thing seriously as you should be taking it, because like I said, you have a golden opportunity here. It's like, okay, we're gonna show the biggest Hollywood studio, or one of the biggest Hollywood studios out there, who has like 250 to 300 million dollars in their account and their disposal to create a film that's going to absolutely bomb. We're going to do one that's only going to be a couple $1,000,000. We're going to show Hollywood how it should be done, right? And actually do a movie that people can look and compare and be like, wow, you know what, that one was actually pretty good and actually pretty solid. But when you put one of your own personalities in the lead of this room, it makes it very hard for anyone to really truly take you seriously or take anything that's going on seriously here with the Daily Wire. So there's a couple of other things that I want to add to here, but I want to kind of start off this conversation with, I guess, start off with you, Pete. What was kind of your take on the Daily Wire trying to do their own Snow White movie here? Is this a misstep there? Because I feel like they have an opportunity to do something pretty significant, but they're not really. I don't think they're as serious about the opportunity that they have that they should be. Do you kind of feel that way here too?
My history of conservative media trying to understand culture, not great. Typically not great. I think that this venture that they're doing, they have a lot of good ideas. I think focusing so much on kids programming is very smart. I think one, it's a bit more forgiving, and two, I think it's the place where conservative programs probably could get into the market most easily, because there are many parents who, they may not be particularly political, they may even be somewhat left wing, but they just kind of want to leave all that kind of stuff away from the kids. You know, they just want the kids programming to be boring and safe, and for some of us who are lazy, take care of the kids while we wash the dishes or whatever. Um, this other stuff, it looks like a lot of conservative media ventures trying to understand culture and entertainment. It looks rushed. They're using what are their talent from the Daily Wire. It has awful auto tune. The auto tune is really strong in that, by the way, and it just gives you the appearance like they just filmed this a few days ago and they had to hit the deadline for the 100th anniversary of Disney, which might be what happened. I'm just taking a guess. The problem fundamentally with conservatives, and this is just a good rule of thumb, for people who don't follow this, but basically what happens with conservatives is that they want the ability to influence culture, but they don't really want to understand how that happens. So they try to anticipate handling culture at critical mass. So they'll just say, we'll do this, and it'll be really big, and then people will love us. Unfortunately, that's not how culture works. And there are lots and lots of people who are conservative, libertarian, who are trying to make a difference in culture. One of the credits I will give Daily Wire, the guy they did to do their Chinchilla show, was a conservative, independent comics writer. So I had interacted with him previously. So, I mean, there is some good attempts here, and they are positive, but that trailer in particular, I just don't know. I don't know. I'm glad the Daily Wire is trying this. I'm glad that they're putting the effort out there. But there is this feeling, and this happens all the time in conservative media, that if the conservative thing comes out, you all have to pretend to like it, irregardless of actually how many people go out and watch it. And if that's the way they go, I don't know if this will be a success. However, if they are humble and they're willing to learn from these experiences, perhaps they can make it work. And I hope they do, because we need more voices out there, and we need a wider market to allow more stories, not just for conservatives, for anyone. It's ridiculous that people feel so controlled and censored that they, I'm going to do a historical drama. Oh, I can't talk about that person because, they aren't X, Y, or Z enough. And that's just silly.
Yep. Orange Hat, you've been holding on here. So what do you think about this whole thing?
Oh, I've been chomping at the bit. First off, this thing will fail. And here's why. As much as the Daily Wire wants to own the libs, as Kate says, that is their intention. That is completely their intention. They want to offer alternative entertainment, sure. They want to offer all of that. There's just one problem, Daily Wire. You're exclusive and you're behind a paywall. If you are planning on doing all these movies like that one with the school shooting, the one with Gina Carano and all that stuff, it's all well and good that you are making these movies, but you are leaving them to exclusively your platform. Look at what Disney, Universal, and all those other big studios are doing. They are branching out to their digital media. They are branching out to the physical media. They are doing all of that. I can get all the shit I want on Vudu, except for any of the shit that you are doing, because you want to be the whole exclusive content and the masters of your own fate. Except that you don't understand how that is a negative business model, and you aren't going to make any money off of that kind of business model. You have people sharing their passwords. You have people who are going to do all of that so that other people who don't want to have to pay the fucking service to watch the film. Now, if you want to do all of this stuff, make your own entertainment and protect kids. That is great. It's a good selling point. However, you need to put and branch out partnership. Get with Vudu, the digital library. They have partnerships with pretty much almost everybody. And if you can actually allow your shit for digital purchase or even physical media, because both are important in my opinion, allowing for both of those to have a purchase to support, you'll still get a cut. So, but you need to branch it out. Keeping it on your Daily Wire or Bent Key or whatever it is, you're only hurting yourself because you're not partnering up with the right people.
Well, no, I would agree with Orange Hat, or at least what I would have suggested to them is make this movie free for anyone, and that might entice people to go and subscribe if they wanted to do that. Like have this like, oh, we're gonna show you this movie that we made as a response to whatever Disney is going to do now, and this is just a taste of what we have to offer. I honestly, seeing that trailer, first, I don't know who this woman is. Second, I didn't think that was a real movie. I thought this is just like no, it didn't look like a real movie. It just looked like some woman walking around the woods, and that was pretty much it. There's nothing there. I still question whether this is an actual legitimate movie. But Orange Hat is correct. You can't just keep making product and then say, well, we're providing this alternative media to counteract whatever messaging you don't like, but we're going to keep it hidden behind. It's like their own version of the Disney Vault, really. Where you're going to hide everything, and you're going to lock it up with Walt's frozen head. Why do that? Just put it out there. Give it like, oh, we're gonna stream this movie for free for 2 weeks and something, and anyone can watch it. Please watch it, and maybe you can subscribe and see what other things we have. I don't understand what they're thinking here, but this is a real movie, right? This is actually like it has a beginning, middle, and end. It's not just like this trailer. It's not just this trailer to troll Disney, correct? Because I didn't think this was a real movie. Are they going to sell this with those chocolate bars as well that they were trying to shell out? This is
And the razors that they were trying to do because they were trying to
Yes.
swipe the razor. That's what I say. It seems like everything they're doing is just like a meme. Like if you want to just be a giant meme company, then go ahead and do that. But if you want people to take the content that you're producing actually seriously, then at some point you're going to have to start having a serious business model with the stuff that you guys are actually producing.
Or maybe they're just afraid. Maybe they're just genuinely afraid if they put it out there in the market and it's not going to succeed. Because they're not as big a company, obviously, as a Disney is. But if you're going to put out this product, let's say that you're going to release it into theaters, are they worried that it's not going to sell? Are they worried that their other content is not going to generate revenue or interest or what have you? No one is expecting this to sweep the Oscars like Barbie will, but at the same time, you need to put your material out there. you can't just keep hiding it. I mean, not just Orange mentioned Voodoo. You could sign up with others. I'm sure maybe they could work out a deal with Tubi or Roku
Or them too, yeah.
or one of those two. I know that I don't like this particular person, but I think I could get the Charlie Kirk show on one of those platforms, and that's a way for him to promote himself. Daily Wire could do the same thing. It's just very curious thinking.
Yeah,
But
it's the question is that how serious are you guys in your journey or your fight to be a true alternative to Hollywood? Because if you're not that serious, then let us know like right off the bat. 'Cause I don't see a serious effort being put out here. Cassie, what do you think about this thing?
I just see, unfortunately, more red flags. I support, counterculture, but I don't support putting counter politics in entertainment. The whole reasoning for me supporting counterculture entertainment is for apolitical commentary, like when it comes to entertainment. And when it comes to the Daily Wire, do you think I want to support an overwhelmingly pro-war organization at this point, especially after pretty much Shapiro made himself look like a fucking idiot? I'm good. I don't like that. I don't want to support I don't want to support pro-war in any scenario on either side, being the libertarian that I am. But yeah, when you're just putting, your political pundits, I'm not sure who this person is, but they work for the Daily Wire and now they're playing
She
Snow
was a
White.
kid actor. She was a child actor, and now she's a political commentator.
So does this mean that Ben Shapiro's going to play all the Sun Dwarves? Are they going to like have
That'd be
him?
awesome.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they might as
Maybe
well.
if they did, I would love to see them do a Willy Wonka version where he is all of the Oompa Loompas.
I mean, you could tell that this whole thing of the culture war and him having an alternative, unfortunately, it's panning out to the reality that they don't want the vision that they've tried to sell us with apolitical entertainment. They just want control, and that's my problem with the right. Like they want control, like they want the
100%.
control that the left does, but with their politics. And it's like at that point, I just don't care anymore. So like until like for me at this point, unless people start talking about openly not paying taxes anymore and having those strikes, I don't care about politics. Like to me, it's just one big joke. Two sides fighting to have overwhelming power. So at this point, I don't care anymore.
Look,
By the way, Brett Cooper, just real quick, the only thing that I see here notable that she's ever done is that she was in that super, super awful reboot of Heathers that they did about 5 years ago. Apparently she had a role in that, but that's literally all that I ever see that justifies her being
not
an
even
actress.
not even Heathers the musical.
No, not even that.
Look, you make a movie for one of two reasons: to make art or to make money. What is the Daily Wire's reason to make this Snow White? Is it basically to troll Disney and their pretty unpopular Snow White remake? It's not to make money because I don't see many people rushing to join Daily Wire or to go on to Daily Wire Plus to see this movie. I don't know if they're making art because they're not releasing it to the general public. So what is the raison d'être for making this movie? To me, it does look like basically a big troll to a company that they don't like. I mean, that's what they want to do. Fine, it's irrelevant to me. But don't think that people are going to rush to see this. I think many people did that with probably one of their most popular products, which was that "What Is a Woman" thing. Not I mean, they also kept behind the Daily Wire Plus, but not a lot of people, I think, joined and kept Daily Wire Plus so that they could see that and see other things that they're going to produce. It's curious thinking. I just don't understand it. You guys probably know better than I do.
Sounds to me that the Daily Wire is very emotionally driven. The irony being the main dude behind it all is known for saying facts don't care about your feelings, but they're very emotionally driven now, it seems.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like
they want-
basically
they want
whenever
to-
like whenever a woke company comes out and they do something stupid, the Daily Wire is like the first one to be like, "There, oh, Hershey's went woke. Let's come out with our own chocolate. Oh, Harry's went woke. Let's come out with our own razors. Oh, Disney went woke. Let's do our own Snow White movie." It's like, okay, like is that your business plan? Because like I said, if that's the business plan, then like I said, I don't see anyone seriously taking you seriously here.
It's
Because-
frustrating, you know. I'm really mixed because part of me is like, I'm glad that they're trying. Look, you guys, anyone that has interested in doing any culture writing and they're thinking, oh, maybe I might want to work with or engage with conservative media, you quickly learn conservative media, they have zero interest in culture unless they can somehow use it as the political hammer of the day. Zero interest in culture. I'm lucky if I attempt to talk with outlets, I find one editor. This is why I used to do so much stuff with the Federalists, because the managing editor, she got it. She's like, culture doesn't matter. We do culture. It does well on the site. People are interested in culture, but that's it. And you have to push it past everyone else that works there. And so many times we would come up against over and over and over. Gets agreed to. We bounce it back. It's ready to go. She's managing editor. She should have last say, but things happen and it gets bounced. And this would happen over and over again. And this is my experience with conservative media in general. They do not understand the value of culture. They want to engage in a culture war. This is the insane part. Like they're wearing a straitjacket because their focus is on a culture war, yet they have no interest in culture. So they're just kind of, it's like the left are carrying they got like a rifle and a bazooka. And then the right comes back, they got like their popsicle sticks. Why are we winning? What? It's like, well, come on, guys. So I'm
There's
like,
a reason
the Daily
why
Wire is
conservative
trying, but
media
it's still,
doesn't. The reason why they don't want, or the reason why they don't have any culture, or as you say, is because they actually want to bring it back to what it was, not this regressive bullshit that they're pushing. They already have their culture. They don't need, or it's a culture that has stood the test of time for a couple thousand years, and it's been working. So why the fuck would we want to do or go by the delusional bullshit that the left or that a leftist or liberal culture is doing? Now that is only going by, or that is basically the argument of the conservative thing. However, the conservatives are just as bad because I'm a constitutionalist when it comes to any of the political aisles. I'm straight down the middle. I don't like left or right because both right now can't even identify the proper form of government. They're all saying, oh, my democracy. You fucking retards don't know history.
I mean, we basically have two sides right now that says give all our money to Ukraine or give all our money to Israel, and everyone's getting screwed over.
And I say, give all my fucking money back to me and stop paying taxes if you want this shit to stop.
You know what I could do is say, give the money to Hawaii, which is a state and which had the devastating fires. You can barely send them $700, and you're sending billions to Kyiv. I don't understand that kind of thinking either. But when it comes to culture, are you trying to create actual culture in the way that we've had it from like the Renaissance with the patrons of the arts, or are you trying to maybe basically troll people and troll the companies that you don't like? Like I said, I don't see them trying to make money. I don't try them seeing to make art. Those two reasons I think that people make film. So I'm puzzled. There's no reason for this. At least, like I said, make it available. Make it available. Make it available for free. They do this on Roku. They do this on other streaming services where they'll give you like one episode to kind of entice you and say, well, let's see whether you like it to get a subscription. Daily Wire refuses to do that. So why are they making this?
I'll let Pete get the last word on
Yeah,
that.
I was going to say, the Orange Hat brought up a good point. And the response to that, and I should have mentioned this earlier, there's a major difference between the left and right in one way when it comes to how they fund entertainment. The left and right are very similar right now in that the sense that most news sites are not turning a profit. They are basically surviving because some really rich dude who's a billionaire likes them, and that's how they're getting by. For the vast majority of them, Daily Wire might be an exception. We don't actually know the figures. They're a private company. But the problem is conservatives, unlike the lefties, conservatives do not want to invest in culture unless they believe there will be a strong turnout. They have to know for guarantee that there will be a profit. Now, the left, they understand culture is how people think, live, and breathe. It's what people care about. I mean, we debate politics, but it's our favorite TV shows, movies, books, art. That's what motivates us. That's what fills our souls. So the left, they will stuff their values into any possible thing that they can get a hold of. It could be a sock, it could be Spider-Man, like we previously talked about. But the right doesn't get that because the investor class that controls so much does not want to invest in culture. And that's kind of what makes the Daily Wire thing significant, because they're using the subscriber money they're getting from people directly to pay for it. So maybe they're cutting out the investor class. And that's the small way this gives me hope, because maybe then we're saying, well, here's this alternative way that we might actually go ahead and fund art. But they have to prove it. And the history here is working against them. So, I mean, I'm like you guys. I'm very skeptical. I'm very pessimistic these days. But I would like something nice to happen. Just history, in my experience, says otherwise.
Yeah, so my final thoughts on this one is, as I said many times before, even when they started this whole thing, the Daily Wire, if they want to start making movies, that's great, but they can't be the only one. You can't expect them to be the only one that's going to fight back against Hollywood, because if that's your plan, then this plan is going to fail miserably. So I'll just leave it at that there. But let's jump over to our another topic here real quick. Millie Bobby Brown, who you guys may know from Stranger Things and the last couple of Godzilla movies. There was this very baffling interview that she did. Apparently she did an interview with Glamour where they're trying to promote her to be like one of the women of the year or something like that. Keep in mind, this girl's only like 19 years old, but she's been in Hollywood ever since she was like a preteen. So I mean, she's just been there for a while now, and she admitted to this experience, saying that she found out that she was a feminist because a psychic told her that she was a feminist, and then she went and did her research on Google to confirm that she is in fact a feminist. So I'm going to read this to you exactly how it's written here. Stranger Things, Millie Bobby Brown says that she was a feminist when she once went to a psychic who affirmed her that she was. Keep in mind, this had to have been like around the time where she was like 14 to 16 years old, so we're all talking about a minor here. But she credited her feminist awakening to a visit that she had with a psychic who told the actress that she was a feminist. After speaking with the psychic, the star went home and looked up, "How do I know if I'm a feminist?" Which means she literally went to Google and typed in, "How do I know if I'm a feminist?" and began to read articles and books on the topic, and ended up concurring with her clairvoyant that she was in fact a feminist. You know what? I'm not even going to read the rest of the story because it's stupid. Here's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to type in exactly what she typed in. I'm going to see what's the top results right here. Marie Claire, 10 signs that you're a feminist. So this is stuff that she probably read to come to this conclusion. What other one we have here? Oh, The Atlantic. Are you a feminist? Continued. Feminist Shop. What type of feminist are you? Here's our test to find out. Mike.com. 15 signs you're actually a feminist. Bustle. 6 signs to prove that you're a feminist. The Guardian. Am I a feminist? You've asked Google. Here's the answer. Medium. What do you really mean when you say that you're not a feminist? Raveloon. 21 sides is you're a feminist and believe we all should be. PBS has some kind of video here saying when you're saying that I'm not a feminist. No one wants to read this. So this is literally what she did. And then after reading these absolute dog duty water articles, she came to the realization that yes, she's a feminist, and feminist is about equality and not hating men and all the other crap they tell you behind the scenes, but we all know what's really going on here at the end of the day. So like I said, this poor girl has been a part of Hollywood. It was around like season 6 of Stranger Things, so she had to have started that show when she was like 13, 14 years old. This is another poor young woman in the Hollywood system who's already being chewed up and spit out with absolute just dogmatic garbage that comes out of this industry, and throw her in with the same line of Megan Fox and Emma Watson and Elizabeth Olsen and so many other people who have all followed the same road over and over again. The moral of this story is that now she has a production company which is producing more feminist garbage. Her latest film that she's working on is something about a dragon fighting princess who in a film called Damsel, and that's where the movie is coming out about. It's like, oh my god, what more can I say about Hollywood that I haven't said to this point? This is exactly just how dumb we're all getting as a society here. Orange, I'm gonna start here with you. Do you buy Millie Bobby Brown saying that she literally went to Google and decided that she was a feminist after reading these dumbass articles?
She went to a psychic. That already just makes me dismiss her entire thing or her point entirely. Secondly, She was smart at 18, where she was calling out people for being pervy because they were waiting for her to turn 18.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, she's still not not a clever adult yet. I mean, you have your smarts, sure, but you don't have your cleverness. And when you are saying that, or when you are focusing on feminism and shit, if you're a freaking first wave feminist, great. I agree with you. Women do need equality. Give them that equality. But when you are a third wave feminist that is seeking superiority, that is where I have an issue. So if she's a first wave feminist, all power to her. If she's a third wave feminist, fuck right off with that shit, because I want nothing to do with that kind of life. But the thing is, she's 19.
Here's a hot take for me. Here's a hot take for me, real quick. All roads of feminism are bad. There's a reason why the first wave got us to the second wave. That's why they call it a wave. It moves in one direction.
True. All right, so let's call it the first generation of feminism. Let's call it that then instead. Because honestly, yes, women should have more equal opportunities, which is what they got when that shit happened back in the 70s. But nowadays, all they're caring, or all they're looking for now, is superiority, and to degrade men and make men be humbled underneath their freaking high heels because, oh, we have been oppressed so long. Bitch, you don't know what oppression is. You've grown up in a time where women have as many opportunities as men. You all just seem to think you are less, or you have less opportunities, and you come up with these bullshit ideas like, oh, there's a gender pay wage gap. No, there isn't. Learn how that shit
Well,
works
they
before you
think
open your
that
mouth about it.
because when she's in Hollywood, when she's 13 years old, she has grown ass 30-year-old women try to mold her to think just like them. So they tell you, oh no, you're totally a feminist. And then they go online and they read these dumbass articles from Glamour and Huffington Post and the Daily Beast telling her, no, this is totally what you want. And it was like you were saying earlier, she's already learned how to call out the men in her entry, because that's where she's pretty much grown up in during this time period. But she's listening to all the negative female influence in her life, which is turning her into this hyper feminized, just absolute just doofus. And like I said, it's only going to get worse throughout the course of the next few years. There's a reason why so many of these actresses like Rachel Zegler and Brie Larson, who we'll talk about here, there's a reason why they all think the same thing. This is a Hollywood machine. They get to you when you're young and you don't know nothing about nothing, and they shape your worldview, and then you come out in Hollywood either emotionally damaged, sexually damaged, or you just come out a complete window licking moron. So
Well, Orange brought up a very good point about how this girl went to a psychic. I mean, I don't know why she needs to consult Miss Cleo on anything that involves her thinking. I mean, it makes me think that she can't think for herself. You reach your idea about whether you're a feminist or not based on your experiences, what the people around you have taught you, and what you see and what you observe and what you feel. You shouldn't have to go to a psychic or listen to America Ferrera's speech in Barbie to tell you, oh, yes, I'm a feminist. I've now discovered how women are oppressed, and now it's my turn to fight the patriarchy. To me, it just signals that this girl, and she is still a girl, I assume, that she can't think for herself. So she has to have someone think for her, and she does what Zoomers, I presume she's a Zoomer, has to do: ask someone else, and then look it up on Google to figure out whether or not you are a feminist or whether or not you're this. It shows just a thorough lack of ability of cognitive thinking. All of these, I don't know why she would go to. Again, I don't know why you would go to a psychic for anything, really.
I mean,
let alone why you want to.
realistically,
Go ahead, Cassie. Sorry.
realistically speaking, unfortunately, this young lady was doomed from the start because she was in the Hollywood system since she was a child. I mean, look, these people are fucking they're vindictive, they brainwash, they're genuinely evil motherfuckers that prey on these children. So if
I
I mean, if
haven't
I had a
seen any
kid,
of that with her, however. We have
Not
seen
yet.
her do
haven't
a
seen
few
that, but
things
you
here
think
and there, But
You
it
haven't
really, right
seen
now,
it.
it's a wait and see.
I mean, we also haven't seen how, what they did to Amanda Bynes. We also haven't seen what they did to all these other people that are absolutely out of their fucking mind and that were in the system since they were children. We don't see the dark, heinous shit. So that's the thing that's
No, but we
truly scary
eventually
about
learn
it.
about it.
We learn about
However,
some of
none of
it,
that has
but we
been.
don't know all of the details. This girl, I'm sure, has been exposed to a lot of questionable things. The fact that she is still relatively sane at her age is really a testament to the fact that she has been involved in this system since she was a kid. So I mean, it's one of those things where it's sad. It's sad that unfortunately, I know, I'm sure that she's exposed to things that are very much questionable, that are completely ridiculous, and that she doesn't have a level head because she hasn't grown up being a normal human being. She has been thrust into stardom ever since she was a kid, being a part of the the Stranger Things, which was a huge show for its time. So, I mean, how can you expect someone who hasn't had a normal life to be a normal human being? Like it's like with Michael Jackson. I mean, thrusted into stardom as a little child, become mega ultra famous superstar. Yeah, it's like, of course, I'm not surprised that this dude was out of his fucking mind. I mean, it's one of those things where if she has any semblance of sanity, of normal human being tendencies, I'm actually shocked more by that. But yeah, we do grow up in the age as well where younger people aren't entirely dependent on Google to tell them what's right and what's wrong. That's sad that that's the case, but regular average person that doesn't have an excuse, but regular average people still depend on Google as well to tell them what to do, which is crazy, but it is what it is.
A couple of things here. First of all, TW, we're an hour and 40 minutes into this show, and the show
Hey, what's
started
up?
at 9. So this
Yeah.
is quite literally the most color people time you've arrived here on this broadcast. We have
Oh,
one more
yeah.
segment coming up here.
I had a lot of shit to do, dog. I'm like, bro, I had to wash everybody's dishes and shit, bro. I'm like, bro, I was on dish duty, man. You just don't know.
You must have a lot of dishes there for an hour and 40 minutes, but that's
Oh
besides
yeah.
the point.
I wish to God I was exaggerating. I'm like,
Dishes don't play.
wow.
Yeah. And then, like I said, look, this is pretty much the beginning stage of how Hollywood corrupts people. Every single person who you've seen who has gotten into this industry at a very young age, or a young enough age to where they're impressionable, they come into this town. They come in from different parts of the world, different parts of the country. They come into this town, and all of a sudden, the Hollywood system, the producers, the writers, they sink their claws into these people and completely warp their worldview. And because these people know nothing else but the Hollywood system, because this is the system they grew up with, they think that everything that comes out of Hollywood is how the real world actually works, because they don't actually have a real life experience outside of Hollywood. Like I said, she's a 13-year-old. She's 19 now, but we're talking about when she first came to prominence in this role here in Stranger Things. This is a 13-year-old girl who knows nothing about nothing, and then she's had all of these people, these adults, sink their claws into her and basically tell her that the sky is green and that the water is red, and everything just makes sense to her because she doesn't know any better. Then she comes out, and like I said, you're not really seeing those signs yet, but like I said, she's still 19. There's a lot more time to go. I mean, Amanda Bynes looked like she was pretty normal when she was 19 years old. She didn't end up that way after a few years. So like I said, just because you're not seeing the signs now doesn't mean that they're not there. All of these roles usually go into something pretty dastardly, pretty disastrous when it's all said and done here.
There is one exception, though, that she actually came out pretty sane, and that's what's her name? She has kids now. Disney kid.
Oh,
doesn't narrow it down.
Blonde.
Hillary Duff.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yes.
For some reason, I thought you were talking about Christy Carlson Romano, and like I said, she's someone who I mean, she left Hollywood. I think she's in Texas now, but I mean, she was even talking about how she was completely messed up, and that's the girl from Even Stevens and Kim Possible. And like I say, if you go on her YouTube channel, she talks about the fact that, you know, when she left Hollywood, she was broke despite doing all of these projects. Like, parents invested her money, people around her stole her money. I mean, that's the story that we always hear with Hollywood. These people will use their kids for a quick buck, and they don't care one iota about what's happening to their children behind closed doors. And that's the sad reality about what happens here in this town. But yeah, or even Rob said, I can't stress this enough. Lots. But yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this up with our closer here, and this is kind of like the late stages of where Millie Bobby Brown is, and that is of course Brie Larson, because Brie Larson is apparently done, or allegedly she's done with being Captain Marvel and being in the MCU. She's done with this whole thing, and there's a multitude of reasons why this is the case. So if we go here for a second, Brie Larson is apparently upset and grew disillusioned with her Captain Marvel role. She doesn't want to play it anymore. Keep in mind, when this whole thing started a few years ago, we have to go back to the whole thing with her comments about A Wrinkle in Time, where she made the comment about she doesn't need white critics talking about a movie that wasn't made for them. She got backlash for that, but because she was in this big MCU film, the entire media conglomerate came out against anyone who would say anything negative about Brie Larson or the movie, even as far as Rotten Tomatoes changing their entire rating system so that nobody can say that this was a bad film. And at the time, they were priming Brie Larson to be the new leader of the Avengers. They were telling everyone she's the strongest Avenger. She's going to be the one leading the team after Iron Man and Captain America and all the originals are gone. They were going to throw this entire franchise on her back. Then COVID happened a year after Endgame, shut everything down. Chadwick Boseman died shortly after that. They didn't know exactly what they were going to do with this whole thing. And the plans that they had for Brie Larson when they brought her in, apparently Marvel's no longer interested in those plans. Obviously, this is supposed to be a Captain Marvel 2 movie. It ended up being an ensemble movie with her and the two girls from the Disney Plus shows. And that apparently upset Brie Larson a lot. She's made a few media appearances where she's seemingly upset about the fact that no one wants her to be Captain Marvel anymore. So, and then of course she had the rumors during the reshoots that apparently she was getting into it with some of her co-stars because she had an ego to where she's like, hey, I'm the star of this film and I don't like the fact that I'm taking a backseat in this movie. And look, this could very easily be her last appearance as Captain Marvel in the MCU. They may not do another Captain Marvel movie in the future after this one is all said and done here, but this is a report from The Direct. Joanna Robinson, who's the writer there and insider, gives claims that Larson grew disillusioned with the role in her book MCU in the Reign of Marvel Studios. This is talking about how the future of the MCU icons were unclear with the departure of Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, the loss of Chadwick Boseman, obviously what we said earlier. The Guardians of the Galaxy are pretty much done now, so Brie Larson grew disillusioned with the future of Marvel, and they didn't really know what direction they wanted to go here. So as a result, they don't know if she's the wrong person for the role, but the toxic backlash that Brie Larson received, she doesn't want to play Carol Danvers anymore. Well, I mean, she was literally only in the role twice for as far as we've seen here, but this is the sort of thing that she said when she was interviewed at D21. When remember that the whole video where it was like, hey, you want to keep playing Carol Danvers? And she was like, I don't know, does anyone want me to play the character anymore? Doesn't seem like it. So she's been pretty upset about this, how this whole thing's panned out. I think she had it in her head that, you know, Disney, like I said, this major studio, this billion-dollar machine was going to put her at the forefront of everything moving forward, and that didn't pan out the way that she thought that it was. And like I said, there's been rumors for a while that she's been upset, that she's not happy with the direction of her character, the direction of the franchise. Marvel really doesn't know what it's going to do for the future right now. Like I said, they're canceling numerous Disney Plus projects at the moment because they're essentially not even worth moving forward with them. They don't really know what they're doing with the movies at the moment either, because they were supposed to be moving in with Jonathan Majors and the Kane Dynasty. That was supposed to be the next Avengers movie, but Jonathan Majors is going through a legal battle right now about an alleged assault in Brooklyn, so it doesn't look like he'll be back to even play that role. They may have scrapped that film altogether and gone straight into Secret Wars for all that we know. There's talked about doing the Fantastic Four. That's the movie that they want to come out and do. There's also other projects about the Deadpool 3 as well. But this whole thing is completely in limbo. And I'll say this: I'll actually go a little bit here to defend Brie Larson. If I was told that, hey, we're gonna essentially make you the Roman Reigns of our franchise, and then you show up and they turn you into Barry Horowitz, I would probably be a little bit upset based on the promise that you guys got me to be in this whole thing in the first place. We saw this with if you remember the whole story with Terrence Howard in the first Iron Man movie. Terrence Howard, if you guys people forget about this because this is how long ago it was, when they did Iron Man 1 in 2007, 2008, Terrence Howard got paid like $3 million. He was the bigger star at the time than Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. was considered a risk at the time by the studio, but it was a success. So when they came back for Iron Man 2, essentially what happened was they wanted to give more money to Robert Downey Jr. and they didn't want to give that money that they had promised Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard was like, well, no, we agreed on this for 3 movies, so I want what we agreed to. And they essentially said, okay, well, we're going to get rid of you and replace you with Don Cheadle. And that's how Don Cheadle became Rhodey in the second Iron Man movie. So there's been promises that have been made like this in the past when it comes to the MCU, and they haven't panned out for a multitude of reasons. And it looks like Brie Larson may be all done here with the MCU after this movie comes out in a few weeks. So TW, since you're the last one here, I'm going to start it off with you. What's kind of your thoughts on Brie Larson, Captain Marvel, and the whole state of Marvel movies in general now going into the future?
I mean, it's just really hard to get into Marvel movies, and like I can understand where Brie's coming from. Even though I don't like her like whatsoever, but yeah, it's just like, dude, Marvel's pretty much dead at this point. I mean, I hate to say it's dead because I mean, there's at least old Marvel stuff to look forward to, but I don't know. In terms of like anything new, I don't know, man. At this point, they might as well just sell the shit to somebody.
Who knows? They may be in such money troubles right now. They could end up selling this thing to somebody here in the future. But, Rick, you're the Marvel fanboy. I'll go to you here. What's your thoughts on Miss Brie Larson here?
Yeah. I'm still waiting for that 50 disc criterion to get all of the films together. First, I want to say I don't dislike Brie Larson. I'm probably one of the only people here, or one of you, who does not hate her and thinks she's a competent actress. I mean, she does have an Oscar. I can understand her unhappiness insofar as that if the movie is supposed to have been about her or her character, now she's being sidelined with these 2 other characters that people who've not seen the Disney shows will probably have no idea who they are. But now they're being essentially made co-leads with her in her own project. So her own film is essentially being taken over by 2 characters that people may not know when they go into the movie. So I can understand her irritation. But generally, she knew what she was getting into. She probably knew that they were going to make other films, and unless she got it literally in writing that they were going to make her like the new Iron Man or the equivalent, she has very little right to complain. She knew what she was getting into. All the actors who got into these projects, they should know, or they should have known what they've gotten into. I have very little sympathy for her, but I think maybe she also reads the writing on the wall. I think you said that this movie's tracking is very low. It might not be the monster hit that they thought it was going to be, and Marvel has had diminishing returns. So all of that, and now she's going to be made the face of a sinking franchise. I can understand her irritation. This is her career after all, but it's like I can't get excited. I've never been excited for any of the Marvel movies, even though they are turning point in cinema, and they're better than anything Scorsese ever made. But just maybe I think he's right. It's time to just close up shop, unless they expect Fantastic Four to revive their fortunes. And no Fantastic Four movie has ever been successful. Well, maybe financially, but not anything that the fans like. Although I did like Silver Surfer, unironically, I did like that movie, and I make no apologies for it.
Orange, what do you think about your girl Brie Larson here?
She did it to herself. This woman came into the MCU, shot off her fucking mouth, and is now playing victim because, oh, people don't like her. You did it to yourself. You hadn't, or you copped an attitude when they hired you. You started immediately playing victim when, oh, you're just a bunch of sexists because you don't want to see a woman succeed. We wanted a freaking Black Widow movie before you came along. We were waiting for that to happen. But instead, they decided to disrespect Scarlett Johansson. I mean, I'm not saying she's any much better at this point because she's also a nutcase. But when it comes to Brie Larson, she did it to herself. She came in, oh, I don't care what anybody says about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for them. Yada, yada, yada. Oh, that's the patriarchy raining on my parade. And now she has the gall to make herself so hated and so disliked. Me, I don't hate her. I dislike her. There's a difference. To hate somebody, you really need to put time into hating them. I don't give a shit about her.
Yeah, she's not Sami Zayn.
Exactly. I don't even know who that is. But the thing is, she kept on copping an attitude. Even her freaking castmates in the MCU didn't like her. What, you got Tom Cruise over here? No, I'm not going to be Tom Cruise. I'm going to be the first me. Thank you very much. And it's like, you're not making yourself, you're not doing yourself any favors. Sure, you could have an Oscar. Good for you. That doesn't necessarily mean you are likable. When you learned all the martial arts for your Captain Marvel movie, what did you say? Oh, right. I just wanted to go out, grab somebody, and just throw them over my shoulder. No self-respecting martial artist goes to seek a fight as soon as they learn the stuff. That's the complete opposite of the point when it comes to martial artists, folks. Me being one. But this woman has made all the wrong choices, and then she starts throwing shit over the wall, and then when they start throwing shit back at her, oh, woe is me, I'm a victim. You did it to yourself, Brie. I got no sympathy for you. If you want to quit, then fucking quit and get the fuck out.
Yep. Pete, you got anything here to save your girl, Brie Larson?
I'm not exactly a friend. Or a fan of her. I don't know why I say friend. Well, I'm not. I mean,
you're not literally, but yeah.
Yeah. Part of me though feels like I wonder how much is Brie Larson and how much is Disney, because Disney, it seems like they think it's smart. Their marketing department thinks it's smart to engage in this culture war stuff, and so I wonder if they encouraged it or they chose Brie because they thought she would go along with it. I agree that Brie Larson has kind of not been treated the best. And while I don't like what she was working towards or her impact on the culture necessarily, I do agree with someone that's hired for a job and they're mistreated by their employer. I mean, I'll always side with the employee almost every time. But I don't know. It's hard for me to get invested in Marvel anymore. I mean, Loki is on the air, and I've heard from a few friends who watch that say it's good, but no one's talking about it. There's just isn't much interest in the franchise anymore. And look, she did her thing on YouTube, and that was kind of okay, but it sounds like she doesn't really want to do that anymore either. So I don't know what's going on with Brie Larson, what her plan here is.
Yep. It doesn't look good. It looks like she's in the beginning of a spiral here, and if this film bombs, which the numbers are, saying that it could possibly do that, it's not looking very good here. Cassie, are you going to defend a white woman here, or are you just going to attack her like you should?
I have to be fair. When it comes to this situation, it's likely that Brie Larson was promised a lot, and Disney did not fulfill those promises. That has to be the case. Honestly, I don't blame her for saying, fuck this, I want out. Like, Disney MCU stuff is a dead end. It is sinking like the Titanic. Why would you unless you want your career to die, why would you stay on this ship? Like, get the fuck out, you know? And the fact that she was supposed to have a Captain Marvel too, and she didn't get that. And mind you, I'm not trying to speak positively of Brie Larson, because matter of fact, I think she's a piece of, like, she's just a shit like actress. What are you doing?
Trying to bite you.
He's trying to jump. Jesus. But I don't think that she's a good actress, but in comparison to the other Marvel characters that she's stacked with in this upcoming Marvels movie, she is the draw. She isn't much of a draw, but in comparison to the other two female Marvel characters, she is the draw. Why would she I feel as though imagine if they told I don't know, Tom Cruise for the next Mission Impossible. You're now have to share your spotlight, the top of the the ladder with these two other lesser known people. I mean, they wouldn't do that to Tom Cruise. And I'm not saying that she deserves that same treatment as a Tom Cruise, but they gassed her up to believe that she does. You can't sit here and tell me they didn't gas her up for that shit. So, they clearly gassed her up. They told her all these sweet nothings. And she was like, well, I'm special. Like, she really did think she was special because they told her this shit. It's not like she magically thinks this. No, you're gassed up by all these people to believe that you're special and that you should be treated as good as these other people. And then now all of a sudden things ain't going so well at Disney. Now you find out the truth. Yeah, of course. Why the fuck would you want to stay with them?
Yeah, well, yes, it's true because remember, it was supposed to be Captain Marvel 2, and then it became the Marvelettes. So, of course, they're
changing it back to Captain Marvel 2.
Oh, are they? Are they?
They've been, overseas, they've been marketing it as Captain Marvel 2 because they're trying to psych her up and whatnot.
Overseas, but that, they should have just kept it as Captain Marvel 2, and I don't know. I guess they didn't have enough confidence. I mean, that might have signaled to her they don't have enough confidence in her or in her character. So we need these two other supporting characters from TV shows that few people watched or cared about to prop you up. So that could play with her. Maybe that's why she was short-tempered with her castmates. I'm not saying that it was right, but I'm just saying that maybe that's a reason.
Before we end it, though, even then, when she started, or they did tell her this stuff, there's no disputing that. They said, oh, you're going to be the strongest Avenger. Except that when people started calling this stuff out, that was actually when they listened. That was actually the last time that they actually started listening and being like, okay, maybe we should put her on the back burner because she is drawing a lot of negative attention. So Marvel listened at one point, but then they stopped listening because, oh, crap, we listened, or everybody else whined when she got put on the back burner. And it's like, how dare you sideline our goddess? Fuck. Disney should have been like, well, I'm sorry, guys. She's not a good marketing, or she's not good at marketing.
Yep. I did want to play this real quick before we wrap things up here on the night. If you guys remember this was the old interview during Avengers Endgame. And if you're a body language expert, you can tell there's a whole lot of things going on here. And like I said, it wasn't just the man babies on the internet who didn't like Brie Larson. You can tell that even a lot of her co-stars really didn't like her, that she rubbed people the wrong way. So just play a quick little tidbit of this.
Sex in the different groups.
There's no competition for me because I'm the strongest, so it's just kind of like a
I like this one.
different.
Oh, yeah, you should let her think that, but yeah.
It's not. As
You
I've
are.
said before, it's not. It's just a fact. It's not a personal opinion.
I like this one.
And it's not a reflection on what you can't do, but it is also kind of a reflection on all that you
It's
can do.
just that you're just not that strong. But she's really smart, and but should we have a fight?
Panic attack.
Oh.
Oh, Chris. That's really nice. I'm still stronger than you, though.
I like this one.
It's almost like she can't let it go. That's just like, no, I'm stronger than you. I'm stronger than you. I just didn't let everyone know that I'm stronger than you. He's like, you can tell he's trying to make a joke of it, but it's like her, I guess, borderline autistic personality can't let it go. But then this is where it gets better. Here is where she tries to like touch Don Cheadle. You could just like feel the disdain that Don Cheadle has for this woman here.
I
told you not to touch it.
To figure it out with, right, guys?
Yeah.
Isn't it fun being there for all my extra takes?
Yikes, dude.
Oh boy.
Ooh, big yikes.
Like I said, she did it to herself. She did it to herself.
I mean,
I got
you
no
just
problem.
like let me see how to put this back on the screen here just for a minute. It's like, oh my god, it's like, do not touch me.
Yeah, he's like, I told you not to touch it. I told you.
For all my extra
Trying
takes.
you up.
Yeah, didn't smile or nothing. Like he was genuinely upset. Like
Every time I see Don Cheeto, he's always smiling. So that's like new for me.
I mean,
I'm like, oh,
even freaking Jeremy Renner basically threw her under the bus during an interview with her, or when she was in it, and she's like, "I use my platform to do this and this and this and this to empower." And he's like, "Well," and then they asked him, he's like, "What have you done with your platform?" Well, I don't think that it's really my place to use my platform to do any of that. I just want to entertain people.
Yeah,
facts. Nice.
So it just goes to show you that she's just living in a completely different world than everybody else. And
not only that, Doctor Strange 2 kind of took her character, but put Lashana Lynch in the suit, and then freaking had Wanda waste her. And it's like, that's why you're not the strongest. She fucking ended you like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Well, now here's what I see. That let's say that the Marvelettes fails financially, worse than Quantum Mania. More than likely, she and others are going to say, "Oh, it's sexism that brought down my movie. It's not her particularly. It's not the lack of interest in the MCU or comic book films in general. It was the patriarchy. It was the sexism, and that's not going to work." Because we've heard that too often, and no, it's not. I don't think it's her specifically. I think it is that superhero fatigue, but she's going to be the face of it, and she's going to be at the receiving end of it, and she's not going to like it. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah,
she's going to claim victim.
Any final thoughts on Brie Larson here before we wrap things up?
I'll agree with Rob. Yeah. Saoirse Ronan should have won for Brooklyn if they were the same year. I love Brooklyn.
I'm fascinated to wonder how this kind of stuff is going to age. I'm hopeful that like it'll be like the 70s. It's like a distant, terrible memory. Only the people who lived through it believe it happens. I hope that's what all this stuff is, and they look back and like Brie Larson's like the Jane Fonda, and they're like, "Oh, the people weren't really like that. That wasn't really happening."
So what? She's gonna entertain the troops in Kabul like Jane Fonda did in Hanoi.
That's her second act. That's what she does after she leaves Marvel.
Baghdad Brie.
Oh, so she's gonna have to start taking her clothes off. Is what you're saying?
Hey, they aren't they going to do remake?
She already did that.
I just hope that she keeps her socks on, please.
She already did that.
Not well.
She already showed her ass.
If she works with Tarantino, she's not going to keep her socks on. Put it that way.
Ugh. I don't think what's crazy is I don't even think Tarantino want to see it's shocking that that's the case. I don't know if you've seen this woman's feet. I don't think Tarantino even want a part of that shit.
No, sorry, I've never seen
her feet. Are mutants in themselves.
I've never
her
seen her
feet.
feet.
Got the mutant X gene.
I've never seen her feet, and I don't really have an interest to. I'm not into that.
I mean, when Professor X puts on Cerebro, he cringes because he senses her feet first.
Is it okay to ask? Is that what we're pretty much assuming, that Disney's screwed when it comes to Marvel? So Fantastic Four, X-Men, none of that's going to really happen, and they're just going to be stuck with that humongous, ridiculous bill that they made when they bought the Fox properties.
I mean, they're relying heavily on the Fantastic Four because I'm assuming that Fantastic Four is going to play a pivotal role in Secret Wars. Because, like I said, I think they've given up on the Kane Dynasty already. I think they're trying to go straight to Secret Wars at this point. But they need the Fantastic Four in order to get there. But there's already talks about, race swapping and gender swapping in the new Fantastic Four cast. So that's going to turn a lot of people right off the gate. Deadpool 3 is really the only thing that they got any really positive buzz about, and that's been delayed over and over again. Outside of that, it's like, who do you have that's going to keep anyone interested in the MCU at this point? Like, they're canceling multiple Disney Plus shows because no one cares about the shows that's coming out right now.
Echo will save the MCU. Okay,
They have
we know that. We know that, Jacob. You're
Like I said, we're dedicating an entire episode of the Ballroom to Echo when it comes out. We're gonna review all 5 episodes when it gets released.
You should do what this new Spider-Man game by Insomniac did. There is a side quest where you get to play a deaf woman of color, and you have to go with her on our mission to graffiti buildings. By the way, I don't know how that isn't racist. But whatever, I don't work at Insomniac Games. I don't have to make such decisions. But for this segment of the game, they turn off the audio, no sound.
Like I said, that Echo episode is gonna be it's gonna be an all-timer when it actually does happen.
I'm actually looking forward to it. I will clear my schedule. Just let me know, and I will ask for the day off so I could go.
I will say this. I knew that they were most likely going to race swap the Fantastic Four when they made Kang black, because Kang is Reed Richards' descendant from like the 30th century or some shit.
Yeah.
But is Ben still going to be Jewish?
I don't know. He might not be Ben anymore. He might be a woman. Who knows?
Okay.
Brenda.
Brenda.
Yeah, he could still be Jewish. That's one of the things that I
Brenda Grimm.
That's one of the things I understand about Ben.
Benita Grimm.
Benita. Oh, she's Latina. She's Latina.
Yeah, make her a Latina Jew.
There are actually.
You don't want anymore.
Yeah.
I know. I need to do
But don't you want representation, Cassie? Don't you want to be?
Don't you want Cuban representation?
Don't you?
I'm sorry. If you're gonna play,
representation.
if you're gonna play a female Ben Grimm, imagine how horrifying of a woman they're gonna have to find to do.
Yeah, damn all that.
So put some yellow brick on her, and there you go.
Oh my gosh.
Just get like some 400-pound female black power lifter and let her be the thing.
Just
Lizzo.
Just get an MMA fighter, one that's clearly taking too many punches to the face.
And also, don't let her near any bananas.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stick to playing Spider-Man 2 on the PS2, man, because this game looks like ass. Even just from like a quality perspective, all the like other shit aside, I'm just gonna stick to playing Spider-Man 2 on the PS2.
I like that Spider-Man game from the PS1 where you could where you could walk around with a freaking paper bag on your head. You had all these different suits, and one of them was that.
Yeah.
Plus,
That was good.
Master cheat to that too. The debug cheat. I miss games that had cheat codes.
Yeah,
those were good.
Now
times.
the codes require you to pull out your wallet.
Yeah, that's a cheat
that's
code.
why they'll
You put it in, and your
never
money
cheat
disappears.
code.
You don't think this woman could be the thing? Yeah, you don't think that this person could
That
be
is a
Ben?
thing, but not the thing.
My
Yes, holy shit. Damn, girl.
Oh wait, that's the person who's gonna be the thing? I could see
No.
You should make her the thing. Holy fuck.
Be more believable than Mila Kunis. So there you go.
I want to hear her say it's clobbering time.
Yeah, that's 650 pounds right
Elephant
there.
bar deadlift.
Dude,
Are you talking about
you
her
would
or
intimidate
what
me. I
she's
would not mess
lifting?
with that lady.
Oh no, definitely her.
Oh damn.
And that's the show here. So we're going ahead and give you guys a chance to promote everything that you got coming up. And I guess we'll start with last one in, first one out. TW, what you got coming up?
Yeah, man. Right now, I got a tier list video on every one of the Gorillaz discography. Like, if y'all know the Gorillaz, pretty much all their songs. I'm gonna be working on that as soon as I get done with this. As well as some other stuff during the week. But for my channel, I just do everything entertainment related. We don't really talk about anything political. We just I'm just here to entertain y'all. Simple as that. But yeah, if that sounds good to y'all, subscribe to the channel.
You heard, man. All right, I'll jump over to Orange Hat. What you got coming up?
Well, tomorrow night I'm going to be on Jade Shadow's channel for Halloween 2, the 1981 film. Halloween 2, not the 2018 one. But then Thursday I got singles on my channel where I'm going to be talking with Jade Shadow. We're going to be discussing Silver Bullet from the 80s, one of the best horror or one of the best werewolf movies out there. And Sunday, I begin Tolkien Sundays. We just finished the John Wick ones. And Tuesday's last Tuesday theme stream of November is going to be Battleship, with finishing out the Aliens versus Military with Battleship. And the theme for for November, or actually October, we're in October, oops. But November will be Jason Bourne Tuesdays. So yeah.
Nice. All right then. Jumping over to a good guy, Pete. Pete, the party crashing over here. What you got coming up, Pete?
I enjoyed the stream tonight. It was fun. Please check out my show on YouTube and podcast, Culturescape. Last week we did an episode with Blaine Pardoe, who, among other things, he was a big writer for the tabletop game BattleTech. He was one of the first novelists they brought in. He was a really big part of it, and then they kicked out. It's a crazy story. A part of it is he had a stalker, and then to deal with the stalker who was harassing the company, they didn't tell the stalker to get lost. They didn't get the cops involved. They hired the stalker, and it just kind of got worse from there. It's just a really nutty, batty story. So if people are interested in that, please check it out. And this week we have the wonderful Christian Toto, who talks with me about, like we were talking about earlier on the show, conservative media. Why is it conservative media is uninterested in talking about culture? My show isn't necessarily conservative, but I think, this is a big, kind of an important topic, because it's like, why isn't there that interest there? So it's a cool conversation. All of you can check out. And of course, if you want to hear my terrible musings on just about anything, of course, I'm on Twitter as well.
All right. Jumping over to Rick.
Yeah, no, they're not terrible, Pete. I enjoy them. It's just really the same for me. My weekly haikus are going to come up. More reviews, including Killers of the Flower Moon and hopefully Joyride. I will be reviewing 2 films that apparently got an A+ from someone. And of course, the best Life with Lucy retrospective that you will ever come across.
We have 3 words for you. Go yourself.
Love it. Life with Lucy.
And finally, Cassie, save the show.
No, there's no saving this. It's a sinking ship. But yeah, guys, you can follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cult Classic Cage. Just did 3 straight days of playing the torture that is Marvel Spider-Man 2. I'm thinking of making a video discussing how it could have been better, because I have a lot of different ways it could have been better.
Put new writers in charge.
People actually know what the fuck that they're doing. That would be a start. But yeah, like I'm thinking of making a video. I'm likely gonna drop that tomorrow. This Thursday we have the Too Real for Phil's podcast. It's gonna be interesting because we're gonna have people on there I think both like and dislike the game. So we're gonna discuss that, and we're gonna discuss the Mario video game that came out that I'm hearing really great things about. Maybe I should have gotten that instead, but I'm kind of over the Switch and just want the Switch 2 at this point. That's my personal like I've kind of just tuned out. Even if man, the last year of the Switch is dropping some heat, some of the best games of the generation, funny enough. So yeah, if you want to check me out, Cult Classic Cage on YouTube, Kick, and Twitter.
All right, and then let you guys know what we got coming up here on the channel. So as you can see, there's nothing behind me at the moment. I'm not sure if you guys picked this up because I am in the middle of a move right now. So actually, there will not be a Friday night show this week. So I won't be on the Black Pill stream tomorrow night for Bounding in the Comics, and I won't be doing a Friday night stream because pretty much the next couple of days I'm gonna be all focusing on my move here. I got all my stuff boxed up here and ready to go. So it's just a simple process of putting everything here on Thursday and getting into the new place and then setting everything up. So it'll take a couple of days to get to that whole process done. So I'll be back officially on Monday. Monday is episode, I believe, 16 of the Bible Lens podcast. We're going to be talking about the ultimate white pill, which is heaven, what the Bible says about heaven and how to get there. We're going to do that on Monday night, next Monday. And then next Tuesday night, we'll be back here, episode 72 of the Barroom Cup podcast, with hopefully a group of people who will be here on time to start the show.
Hey, that won't be me. You know the name at the bottom.
So outside of that, apparently the Arizona Diamondbacks are 2 outs away from going back to the World Series for the first time in like 21 years. So I'm hoping that they don't blow this and let the Phillies into the World Series, because that would suck, and it would suck a lot. So let me give you a quick little shout out to everyone who joined us on the show tonight. I know there's a few names here, so I'll try to get through this as quickly as possible. Let me shoot up here to the front so everyone can get a shout out. We have Spencer, Neozoic, obviously we have Top Dog, Drax the Clown, Joe Numas. Who else we have? Zio Dozer joining us here tonight. Triple Z joining us. Excalibur, DK. Who else do we have? I want to make sure everyone. Oh, Kate, obviously. Shout out to Kate. Shout out the awesome one, Mr. FU. Shout out to you for joining us here on the show tonight. Who else? Oh, Mephisto's movie reviews. Stopping by for a little bit as well. We have Scion Saber Knight joining us on the show. Thank you. Thank Rob for joining us while he's at work at the moment. Vanya, who's here during the course of the night. And I want to make sure that's everyone, that I didn't miss anyone. And Leslie Tarkin, obviously, give a shout out to you. And I think that's all. Don't Let Them Burn. Don't forget about Don't Let Them Burn as well. So I think that's it. I think that's everyone's. For everyone who joined us tonight, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Barroom Podcast. Hopefully we'll see you guys next Monday night. If not, we'll see you guys next Tuesday night here for another episode. Good night, everyone. We're hitting the outro and going home now. So adios. Bye-bye. Good night.
It's over. Go home.
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Okay.
Get out! Get out! You get the hell out! Never mind who you thought I was. I'm Rick James, bitch.